and gentlemen, welcome to Ariel Helwani's MMA Show!
Back in your life on this Monday, February 3rd, 2020. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani. Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to another Monday edition of the show. It is so great to be here. Congratulations to all the Kansas City Chiefs fans out there. I was thinking of a few related to the MMA community. There's James Krause, who's a proud Kansas City guy. Laura Sanko, who works for the UFC, proud Kansas City resident. Megan Anderson, who now resides in Kansas City. So I was happy for them. You know, it's always nice when a long-suffering fan base finally gets that championship. Their last championship was 1969. So here they are 50 years later. Pretty awesome. San Francisco, I have a lot of friends actually who are 49ers fans, but yeah, they've won enough, especially in the Bay Area with the Warriors. So I was happy for the Chiefs fans. And I have a nice connection to Pat Mahomes, which no one else seems to think is a cool story, but I think it's a cool story. In 2004, I was covering Expo Spring Training. It was their final season. I couldn't come home. I couldn't travel back from Syracuse during spring break to my hometown of Montreal because my visa was being processed. So I went to Expo Spring Training. I wrote the Montreal Expos a letter saying that my student radio station had sent me to Florida, or wanted to send me to Florida to cover their spring training. Total lie. Made this up. Made up the whole letter and the letterhead and all that stuff. I said, I'm being sent on assignment to cover your spring training. Will you credential me? And they gave me a credential. I was just a fan. No one was actually sending me to do this, but I figured, I might as well try to do something fun because I can't go home during spring break. And I had no friends. Believe me, I had zero friends. And so they said yes. And there I was covering the team. And in my journal, I wrote, I don't know why I kept a journal. I've never done that before. I wrote that Frank Robinson, the then manager of the Montreal Expos, was sitting off to the side at one point eating popcorn with Pat Mahomes Sr.'s son. Pat Jr. Sr. was trying out for the Expos, longtime reliever. And Jr. was there. I think he was 8 years old. I looked it up yesterday, 8 or 9 years old at the time. And there's Frank Robinson, the late great manager of the Expos and the Hall of Famer, having popcorn with Junior. And so I felt like I was literally feet away from him. So I don't know. I felt like that was enough of a reason to root for the Chiefs. Anyhow, congratulations, and hope they enjoyed the celebrations. Now, we had a rare off weekend in mixed martial arts. Very quiet weekend, but this is the last one in a very long time. We've got UFC 247 coming up this weekend in Houston. Let me see if I can do this off the top of my head. 247, February 8th. February 15th is Rio Rancho. That's Corey Anderson, Jan Blachowicz. February 22nd is the Auckland card, and that's Dan Hooker against Paul Felder. 29th is the Benavidez title fight in Virginia. 7th is 248 with the two title fights in Las Vegas. 14th is Brasilia. 21st is London. 28th is Jairzinho against Ngannou. And then we get to April, and then there's the off weekend, and then we get the
2 off weekends.
2 off weekends. Thank you, Corporate Jake. And then, of course, we get the Brooklyn card, the title fight, Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. So this is the one that we just had, the weekend that we just had, the last off weekend until April. Isn't that nuts? And I just did that off the top of my head. I'd like some sort of medal for that. Do I get anything for this? Anything at all? There's nothing on my computer. It's just my Gmail as I knock over my Conor McGregor toy. That's it. That's all I get. I get a toy getting knocked over. But just because we're coming off an off weekend doesn't mean we don't have a lot of exciting things to talk about on today's show. And it doesn't mean today's show is not stacked. I just came back from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was there on Friday. I was there for literally 24 hours, back at Jackson Wink. I had not been back there in 5 years since that infamous interview with Jon Jones when we walked around some park to talk about the hit and run accident. Well, I was back 5 years later, stayed at the same hotel, coincidentally. I didn't know this until I got there, to interview Jon Jones again. And actually, the interview almost didn't happen because he wasn't feeling well. Thankfully, it did happen, and we got some time with him. And that interview will air on today's program, and it will air in a shorter version throughout the week on SportsCenter. But the entire interview will air today on today's program. This will be your quote-unquote first look at said interview. And so I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to hearing what you think of the interview and what you think of Jon heading into Saturday's title fight against Dominick Reyes, the undefeated Dominick Reyes. 12-0, looking very good in the UFC, says he's going to be the one. He's the one to knock out Jon Jones. Remember, last time Dominick Reyes was on this program, he said, he predicted if he got the fight, he'd knock out Jon. Well, he got the fight. No one's ever beaten Jon. I still don't consider that loss to Matt Hamill a loss, and so we'll see if he gets it done this Saturday. Also, Valentina Shevchenko returning. It's always a treat to watch her fight against Caitlin Chukagian, 125-pound title fight. And if Jon Jones wins on Saturday, he breaks a record. He's currently tied with GSP, 13 victories in title fights. They both have 13. He wins, that's 14, and then he stands alone. Perhaps another vote in his favor for being the GOAT. There's a lot of people who think he's the GOAT. So there's the lineup right over there. On today's program, we will talk a lot about 247. And we'll give you some insight into our slate of coverage coming later this week and all kinds of fun stuff. I'm doing another radio show. We've got pre-show and all this stuff. So it's going to be a fun week, and I'm looking forward to going back to Clutch City, Houston, Texas. At 3:40, we're going to be joined by Alexander Volkanovski, the reigning defending UFC men's featherweight champion. Haven't talked to him since his win over Max Holloway in mid-December of last year. Remember, he suffered a broken hand in that fight, had surgery. So curious how he's doing. How's the healing process? Also, of course, what's been going on in Australia with the wildfires. Going to get an update from him on all those things and more. If you recall, back in June of last year, we had Anthony Smith on the program after his big win over Alexander Gustafsson. A lot of people thought he wasn't going to win that fight, and I thought he was taking the fight too soon after the Jones fight in March. I told him that I would not bother him for the rest of the year. And believe it or not, I stayed true to my word. He was not on the program for the back end of 2019. No appearances whatsoever. And so here we are in 2020. It was just announced recently that he'll be returning to action in April in his home state of Nebraska against Glover Teixeira. He's back on. He's also going to be a part of our coverage for UFC 247 this weekend. And so I thought it would be apropos to have him on. And, of course, he fought Jon Jones last March. Dominic Reyes will be on, talk about the big fight. Huge week for him. His life can change in a matter of days. So we'll see how he's feeling. Check in with him at 3 o'clock. At around 2 o'clock, we will air my sit-down interview with Jon Jones, so stay tuned for that. We had him in studio November of 2018, and he was very open about where he was at in his life. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you all think of that interview. At 1:40, speaking of people who have not talked in quite some time, Colby Covington will be on. This will be his first interview since his loss to Kamaru Usman back at UFC 245. How's he feeling? How's the jaw? What's next? Why has he been so quiet? All those things and more we shall discuss with Colby Covington, Chaos Covington. 125 will be joined by Sergio Pettis, who was victorious in his Bellator debut, not this past weekend, 2 weekends ago at the Forum in Inglewood. So what is life like in Bellator? Where does he go from here? Fighting at 135, all those things and more. But first, you may recall last week on the program, I was talking about how Team Elevation, based in Colorado, needs to start getting a little more respect. We need to be talking about this team, sort of like how we talk about Fortis MMA. Well, these guys may be further along than Fortis MMA because they have Corey Sandhagen, they have Curtis Blades, they have Justin Gaethje, they have Drew Dober, they have Neil Magny, and they are headed up by that man, Eliot Marshall, the former UFC fighter, now the head coach over at the Team Elevation squad in Colorado. He's kind enough to join us for the first time. It's been a while. I actually was on his podcast not that long ago. Now he's returning the favor, coming on my show. Congratulations to all of you guys, Eliot, on the success as of late, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Ariel. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you're kind enough to have me on your show rather the other way.
No, and you know what I love about you? Crystal clear audio connection there. The video, watch me jinx myself now, but this is how I know that you're a professional. I mean, you come correct. You come with the goods.
I wanted to make sure that you get the call from Ariel, you get the call to the big show. Like, I gave my younger fighters this speech on Friday. I was like, man, some of you guys showed up late to practice, and man, I know your name's not on the board for cage rounds and yada yada, but you never know. Maybe it will be today. So you better, when coach calls your name, you better be ready to go. Ariel called my name, so here I am.
Well, I appreciate that very much. And again, congratulations to you and the entire squad on everything you guys have been doing. I want to start kind of at the beginning of this particular journey, this particular chapter in your life. So your last fight was in 2011. That was your last fight in the UFC. It was your last pro MMA fight. When did you start to transition over from pro fighter to coach?
So I have always taught martial arts, and I've always how would you say this? I came up through not quite like the first crop of guys, right? But the second crop maybe, where we were coaching each other all the time. Like I traveled to Japan. I was coach Dwayne Ludwig. I went to a bunch of his strike force fights. We all coached each other all the time. So there was never really a separation, I would say. And then once I retired, it was just, all right, here we go.
Okay. So you knew once you were done that this would be the next step for you?
Okay, so maybe not just this, right? Because we have 7 schools out here in the Denver metro area. So that last fight was on a Saturday night. On Tuesday, I was looking at the building to purchase where the current Denver space is now.
Wow. And why did you retire?
You are either going to be a world champion, or you're going to make millions and millions of dollars. Neither one of those paths were over for me. I tried really, really hard. Like I gave it my all, and I came up short. And we come up short sometimes. That happens. And what are you going to do? You have to take the lessons from your attempts and your shortcomings, and you have to move that to whatever is the next chapter of your life. Because fighting is so hard. Right? Like. Fighting is so hard. Like, I mean, people are giving Cowboy grief right now because, they're saying all this craziness about Cowboy. But look, Cowboy doesn't have to do that yet. He, as Connor says, he had a red panty night. So, yeah, you want to offer me $5, $10 million, $2 million, $3 million bucks to take a fight right now? Sure, sign me up. But that wasn't my pay grade.
Okay. And of course, you fought in the UFC multiple times, I believe 6 times. We're on the Ultimate Fighter Season 8. Had a nice solid run there, but you recognized that the time was up for you. And I'm wondering, as a guy who's been in the cage and has fought on big shows, but also now cornering people on the biggest of shows, which do you, like you said, tough, but which is tougher for you, to be the active fighter in there or to be on the outside looking in and not be, being able to prepare the fighter for the battle, but then when it comes to battle, you can't do much?
So it's 2 different things, right? When you are young, when you are the fighter, you are nervous for a really long time, right? You have this 8-12 week camp, whatever it is that you do, where you're like, man, holy shit, I'm really scared right now. And so you're used to that, and you're kind of used to the nerves. So like, there's that hard part of it, but then there's but as the coach, you're not really that nervous until boom.
Okay.
Walk.
Gotcha.
And you're like, whoa. And it gets kind of like, because you're like, whoa, I don't have any control over what's going to happen right now. This is 100% out of my control.
So you mentioned a couple of things there, which made me think about some of the things you've talked about. So like I said, you have a podcast. You also have written a book. Remind me the name of the book and the podcast. Same name, right?
Same name. The Gospel of Fire. The Gospel of Fire. And it's not a religious thing, but my gospel is the fire.
You've talked openly about suffering from anxiety, depression, things like that. When was it at its worst for you? And I appreciate you being so open about this because I think not enough people are open about this. But for you, when was it the toughest for you dealing with those particular things?
So let's go back to when I retired. Right?
Okay.
And I think that was kind of a lead off to what happened 5 years later. You retire, you're trying to be the baddest dude in the world. You're trying to be Jon Jones, right? Undefeated. And the results, when you search Wikipedia, they don't lie. Like, they are what they are. And you're not. So I occupied my time with building the school, building the businesses, and doing that. And then, had some success with that. And then all of my insecurities about my life, about who I was and all of these things, they came to a screaming halt 5 years later, with no reason. Like, my life was fine. I have a great family, the schools weren't crashing or any of that. And then it was at its worst in 2016, 5 nights, no sleep whatsoever. And then, man, it was I call it my dance with the devil. The devil took its claws and it put him right in me, and he said, "We're gonna sit here for a while until you do some work, man."
Wait, 5 nights no sleep?
Yeah, man, maybe 4 hours total over those 5 nights.
What was going on?
I was petrified. I don't know. Couldn't sleep. Petrified that I wasn't going to sleep, and then I like self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I made it happen. Pacing around the house, crying. You name it, man. You name it. It was the worst, one of the worst 5 days of my life.
Was it because you were afraid of the future? You were afraid of no longer being an active fighter?
All anxiety. No, I wasn't afraid of not being an active fighter. Like that was 5 years. I was already out of that 5 years. It was just all of my insecurities about why I got into fighting and the things that have happened to me through my life and my childhood growing up and all of that had to do with why I became a fighter. And then you build up this ego around like, okay, I'm going to be the baddest dude in the world. And then you don't become the baddest dude in the world. And some things start talking to you, and then you're not listening to them and paying attention. And here you are, man. For me, mine portrays as anxiety. So that's how it went. Some people are depression.
How did you get help? Did someone take you somewhere? Did you figure it out yourself?
No,
How did you get back on track?
So, man, there's nobody in the whole world that's luckier than me. I truly believe that, because I have the best set of people in my life that will do anything for me. They'll do whatever is necessary. And one of them happens to be a doctor, and that last day of no sleep when I got up, I called him, and he just had some medical solutions to get me some sleep that night. And then some long-term solutions. And then I got into therapy, and man, what it was mostly, bro, because it's not like that demon of no sleep left. That stayed around for about 6 to 9 months. And, for the next 2 months, I'd say probably a month to two. I mean, I had this group of 3 friends, bro, that I would take my sleeping pills. I would have a panic attack that they didn't work within 5 minutes. I'd run down to my basement crying, and then I would get on the phone with them, and they would just talk to me. And sometimes that would put me to sleep, just like the sound of their voice. And then sometimes we'd be up all night, man.
And now at this time, you have kids, right?
I have kids.
Yeah,
I have 2 kids.
Do they see you in this state?
They see me in this state. My one was only 2 years old, so I don't know what he remembers. But my 6-year-old, my older, he was, look, the whole process would start is I would get in his bed with him, because he and I are the same beast. He's my mini. He looks exactly like me. He's me on steroids. Like he's better than me, and his anxiety is here already.
Oh,
but at least he's got me, right? Because I know what this is like. So I would get in his bed, and we call it hand, and he would just take his hand, and he would put it on my back. And then he would fall asleep, and then I would get out of the bed and then, not fall asleep.
And so you mentioned that this was 2016. Here we are 3.5 or so, 4 years later. How are you dealing with that now?
Oh, man, it's my best friend, Ariel.
What is your best friend?
My anxiety.
How so?
It is the beast that took me into the fire. And the person that I am trying to be, and the message that I am trying to spread is 100% because of that 6 to 9 months. And I don't ever like it when it's here to say hi in the moment, right? Like that is really terrible. But when it is afterwards, I know what I tell myself is like, yo, okay, whatever comes from this, it's going to be a better version of you. Like whatever comes from this will be a better version of you. You'll understand you better.
So it does pop up from time to time?
Oh yeah. And then, I just have to say hi. I never want it to go away anymore. I just say hi to it. Like the sleep thing every night, Ariel. I mean, this sounds stupid, I get in bed, my wife and I, whatever, we watch a Netflix or something, and then she'll roll over and fall to sleep, and I'll put Law and Order on. And then I'll just be like, okay, you're going to stay awake all night. And this is every night. And then I start to get tired. And then I say, okay, you can close your eyes during the commercial. And then, so I close my eyes during the commercial. And then, eventually I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute. And I wake back up. I was like, oh, the show's on. I'm supposed to have my eyes open. And then it just like puts me, I reverse engineer the process.
Wow. Every night?
Every night. I take control of the process. The plan is no sleep. I'm not sitting there trying to sleep. Every night, this is the process.
By the way, why Law and Order?
I don't know, man. Couldn't tell you.
I
like it.
Okay.
You know, it numbs my mind, you know, and I guess you don't know. Yeah, it numbs my mind, and I don't care.
Have you accepted that this is your life? This is your reality?
No. This is my reality right now. Who knows what? I try not to think too much about what you're like. You to do that, you say these two really terrible words called "what if," and you put them back to back together. And for me, and for people that suffer, these are the worst two words that you can use at the same time in the English language. It's just bloop, downhill. Do
your fighters know about this?
Oh yeah, I talk about it all the time. I wrote a book about it.
Right. I just didn't know if any of them,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I talk about it. I talk about it all the time. I think I'm a better coach because of it.
Why?
You know? What this whole process has made me realize is that it's never so much about me, and it's about we. And I heard a really good quote the other day. I gave some of my students their black belts, you know, and they're older guys. And whenever older guys like 40s and 50s get their black belts, they have like this little breakdown because, you know, there's some 20-year-old blue belt or purple belt that just destroys them, right? Because you're 40 or 50. And so they always think they're not deserving and yada, yada. And what my student told me, he was like, man, it's an African quote. And it's, I am because we are, and we are because I am. And we need each other, and we need all of each other, like the good and the bad. You need to sit there in the good moments. You need to be there in the bad moments. And that is the message of Elevation Fight Team, you know, and all of Easton Training Center, because Elevation Fight Team is a part of Easton Training Center, the forward-facing part where you get to see Corey and Curtis and Neil and Drew and all of these other guys, and Gaethje now, right? All of these other guys that come into the school, man. And my goal, I mean, like, look, I hope we have 2 straps by the end of the year. You know, I think we could do it. That would be amazing. That would be really, really amazing. But would be even more amazing for me, to be super honest with you, is that all of the guys on the team that we have now, that they have amazing lives. Even the ones you don't know. Even the ones that sit there and show up and train with the Coreys and the Curtises and the Drews and the Neils, because that's just part of what it is, right? Everyone doesn't get to be Tom Brady, but Tom Brady needs those guys. So, man, I hope my goal is to spread as much love and positivity in the world, so that through martial arts, so that we can all live better lives, because I think it's the best way to spread the most positive message.
I relate very much to a lot of the things that you're saying. I've talked about my anxiety and all that stuff, and so I appreciate someone in your position talking about it as well. I also learned recently that we have a little more in common. You half of your side of your family is Jewish, and this blows my mind. I never knew about this because, I've covered a lot of your fights. I've known you for years.
Yeah.
Your grandparents on your mother's side survived the Holocaust. Is that accurate?
Yeah, there she is. That's my grandmother right there. That's my Baba. And the guy on the right there, that's my Zaidi, you know, in Yiddish, Baba and Zaidi.
I had no idea.
That's them, man. Yeah, there it is.
Where
my mom sent me these pictures the other day.
Incredible. Where were they during the Holocaust?
They were in Poland.
Okay.
They were in Poland, man. And so much of what is great about me and what is and all of my like anxiety and stuff like that probably comes from that growing up, you know. But I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, there's nothing I would change. Like, I lived in that house. Like, I lived with my parents, you know. I had 2 great parents, another reason why I say no one's luckier than me is because of that. And I got to, man, I have a very deep connection to that suffering in the Holocaust because I lived with them, and you couldn't walk in that house without understanding. Like my friend, like many people weren't allowed. Only really one of my friends ever came over that house because it just wasn't allowed.
Why?
Because man, because people are going to turn you into the Nazis, man.
Okay.
They see where you live and what you have. This is what I grew up with.
Wow.
They're coming for us again. They're going to come for us again. And if they see anything that you have, they'll very quickly turn you in. So, yeah, that was how it happened.
Were they together during the Holocaust, or did they meet afterwards?
No, they met afterwards.
Okay.
They met afterwards. My grandfather was the only survivor of 9 brothers and sisters, a mother and dad, aunts and uncles.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yep.
And what about your grandmother?
Her and her mother and her sister, her oldest sister, survived. Her youngest sister, terrible story how she died.
Okay. Have you ever been to the concentration camps?
No, man, I don't really need to go.
Okay.
I've been to the concentration camps with them. You know, like everyone says that I need to go to understand the suffering. I don't need to go to understand the suffering, man. Like I got filled in with all of the details.
Are they still alive?
No, man, they passed. My grandmother passed in 2000, and my grandfather passed in 2010. He saw everyone die, man. Like other than me, my mom, and my sister, because you know my mom had a brother, and my uncle ended up dying too, and my grandfather had to witness all of that. And then like right at the end of his life, you know, he got to meet my little boy, like my firstborn child.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the last time I saw him.
Are you religious?
No. I believe that there's something greater than us. I believe in the possibility. I'm a possibilian, Ariel. You know, anything is possible. I don't believe what we've been told so far is possible, but everything else could be. And but I used to not like religions, and now, man, look, to get through the day, you do what you got to do, man. People do what they got to do to get through the day, and if you can do that without hurting anybody or harming anybody, then you do it. You do it because life's a fight. Henzo says it best. Life's a fight. Everyone's fighting something. So who am I to say this is true or that's true, or I don't know, man. Like I don't even really think about it anymore. My job is to first and foremost raise these 2 little boys that are in my control, you know, under my wing right now, to the best of that ability to then be the best husband that I can to my wife. And then I have students. I have a lot of students, you know, at the schools here. And my goal, and I include I don't call my fighters. They're not fighters. We're all students, you know. My goal is to be the leader of that and put out the best positive message that I can so that they can go out and live the best lives. So I call it Find Your Power, so that everybody that comes around, that walks in the door of Easton or hears the message on the podcast or wherever, can go out there and find their power, you know. And I don't know what anybody's power is going to be, but yeah, you know. So I mean, I like these guys, like all the guys you just showed, Curtis and Drew and Corey. Like, man, like they're killing it, right? They're killing it, and we have a team of guys that are killing it, and it's an amazing thing what's happened with Elevation.
Yeah, it's a great story, and I think that you guys should be talked about a little more, and there should be more attention on you. I know you're not seeking that, but it's amazing what you guys have been doing. I think Corey is on the verge of a title shot. I think what happened to him a couple weeks ago was not very fair, to put it mildly. Curtis is doing incredible stuff. He's very close. And Dober looked amazing in his fight at 246. Could you just describe the mood of the team right now, with everyone peaking and everyone doing such great things? Gaethje, as you mentioned, what is it like in the gym these days?
The mood of the team is never different. The mood of the team is always the same, because we have a common goal that is much. Their small goal is champion, right? Their small goal is world champion, but that's not the goal. That's not what we're doing, you know? And I guess maybe we don't deserve everything yet. And I understand that because we haven't made a champion. Like, we don't have one. But like I said, man, like everyone understands the path. The path is an amazing life, you know, and that amazing life is going to come in so many different ways. It's like right now, when you have that calmness about it, like that, because that's what we have on the team, is we have this togetherness because we have so many coaches. Like, I know you're interviewing me right now, but I'm only the head. I'm only the head coach of like the team. Each fighter has his guy or his coach. Like Curtis has Vinny. And Curtis, you know, Vinny Lopez is amazing. Cody Donovan is Curtis's head coach as well. Like these guys are amazing. Like, and we're not in this like we just do it different, Ariel. We like the gym doesn't make any money, or the team doesn't make any money from Curtis. Like, only his guys do. And I get, and I know this is different in the fight game. Like, I get financially nothing from Curtis, not a penny. And 70% of his practices occur in my facilities. But that, I don't care. Like, that's not why I'm doing this. Like, that is not why I'm doing this at all. So, and you know, and we just remove, like, look, everyone pays. I'm not saying that the guys don't pay, but we just remove that, like, because it just destroys teams. Money destroys it, right? Like, you got to pay the gym and the coach and this and your manager, and man, you know, like, I think we all have this rule. Like, I don't even think I take that much money from the guys until they have $100,000 in the bank. And when they have $100,000 in the bank, then we can talk.
Well, keep doing your thing, my man.
Take a little bit.
Yeah, no.
I take a little bit, right? And all the coaches do it differently, you know, but like, our team is so special because we've removed that money thing, and we are literally there for the guys, and we love them, and we want them to be happy.
I wish you guys nothing but the best, continued success, and what a story you have. If anyone wants to listen to your podcast, again, Gospel of Fire, the book, Gospel of Fire, wherever you can get podcasts, right?
Wherever you can get podcasts. Look, everything you can get to from my Instagram too.
Okay.
It's at Fire Marshal 205. At Elevation Fight Team as well. You can hit any of us up. We'll respond. Come if you want to come check us out. Come check us out. There's no barrier of entry.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Thank you, Eliot. I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you do such a great thing for MMA, man. Like, just getting the word out there, and like your honorable mentions, like, that's great. Like, guys doing great things in the sport. Like, that is because that's the message, right? Positivity.
Yes, sir. All the best to you. Great to have you on, Eliot, and we'll talk to you soon. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, Ariel.
There he is. Eliot Marshall, former UFC fighter, now head coach over at Elevation Fight Team in Colorado. What a story that is. And I do suggest checking out the book and the podcast as well. All right, let's move along to our next guest. He was victorious 2 weekends ago in his Bellator debut. There he is, Sergio Pettis, longtime UFC fighter, now doing his thing in Bellator. And what a debut that was against Alfred Khasakian. And he's kind enough to join us right now via the magic of Skype, the one and only Sergio Pettis. Sergio, how are you, my man?
Doing well. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Congratulations on the debut. You looked phenomenal. And we'll talk about it in a second, but it's my first time talking to you in several months. So I'm just curious, what happened? Because I remember when the story came out, you were going to fight Kai France in the UFC in December, and then we come to find out you're actually a free agent. They announced the fight. What happened there? It was a very, very unique situation.
Yeah, man. So they announced the fight, and I realized that I was out of contract. So the management team told me try to play the free agent role a little bit. I was scared, first time ever doing it, so definitely terrified about that. And things played out. I ended up at Bellator and had a great performance, so I can't complain.
What were you scared about?
Just being a free agent, man. I've been with the UFC for so long, and I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I didn't want to lose my job of being a mixed martial artist. So I had all these crazy thoughts going on in my head. It was my first time doing it, so definitely just being afraid of I guess just being out there, and it played out good, man. Played out good. Put me in an uncomfortable position, and now I'm over here doing well.
I am of the mindset that everyone should test the water, find out what your market value is. Was it a fun process for you? Like, did a lot of people come your way, and then did you quickly start to think, like, there was nothing to be afraid of here? This is probably good for me. I get to find out how much I'm truly worth.
Yeah. That's, eventually, that's what I figured out. But just being in the UFC for so long, I had so many goals and just things that I wanted to do there that I didn't get to do yet. But it played out well, man. Everything played out well. Bellator treats me extremely well. They feel just like the UFC, so no complaints. Everything went good.
How close were you to re-signing with the UFC?
I was very close, man. Even with the deal with Bellator, I was sitting around thinking like, man, I feel like I have so much unleft business that I need to do, but it just didn't make sense to go back to the UFC. So I did a move for my career and for who I am and my family. So had to do it.
And when you say it didn't make sense, you mean financially?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
The deal was better, right?
The deal was better, and it just made more sense. I'm only 26 years old, so why not make a business move and grow my name a little bit more? It's going well.
Were you one of those people? Because I hear this a lot from fighters, like being in the UFC, it's like such a part of your identity, right? And everyone knows what the UFC is. Not everyone knows Bellator. They haven't been around as long. Did you not want to lose that as well?
Yeah, man, it was just, just like you said, my identity was UFC. I was like, I'm a UFC fighter. But once I did this situation, I realized I'm a mixed martial artist. No matter where I fight, no matter what organization is, as long as I get to continue doing mixed martial arts and doing what I love and get at a good platform, I'm happy with that.
How did you feel about the fact that Bellator doesn't have a flyweight division, so you'd have to fight at 135? Were you okay with that?
Yeah, man. Honestly, the 125 cuts are hard. I'm getting older too, 26 years old. So the weight cuts were definitely a lot different. I was cutting about 30 to 40 pounds to make the weight every time. And it was just taking a toll on my body. I felt good at 35, felt strong, felt ready and confident.
So you're done with 125?
As of right now, I believe I'm done with 125. I'm signed at the bantamweight division over there. So I'm going to keep on testing the waters, keep on getting a little bit bigger, eating more food, enjoying myself a little bit more. So yeah, man, I'm happy. I'm happy.
You look great at 135. I mean, you honestly look to be in phenomenal shape. I'm wondering if you asked your brother Anthony. I'm sure I know you're very close, but did you ask him for advice? You're kind of at the crossroads of your career here. You don't know to go left or right. What did he say to you when you asked him about your situation?
Yeah, man, he was just giving me the right advice. He was just, he's like, just do what's better for you. It doesn't matter what the fans think or what anybody else thinks. Do what's good for you. And honestly, it made the most sense to go to Bellator and had the performance that I had. It was a blessing, man. Everything played out extremely how I visualized it. So, and I'm getting older, man. I'm getting more confident. I grew up, not being as confident. So now that I'm getting more confidence, I feel like my work is playing together with my body.
I think sometimes people would be surprised when they hear a fighter say that they're not confident, because you guys exude confidence, at least on the scale, in the cage. You're so strong, right? Was that a big problem for you? And how did you get over that? How do you start to go from not having confidence, in your 20s to now, as you say, having confidence?
I just had to grow up, man. Also, I think being in an uncomfortable situation made me realize what I'm capable of doing, and that I just got to believe in myself and believe in the process. It's only been, well, I mean, I've been a pro for 8 years now. So it's a journey, nothing happens overnight. And I'm one of those cases that nothing happens overnight. I got to keep on growing and keep on learning and keep on putting myself in the sport and being involved as much as possible.
Do you think because you were, Anthony's younger brother, that you were pushed maybe a little too soon and maybe you weren't ready for all of that?
Yeah. Mentally, I wasn't ready for it. Honestly, I was just, I was all over the place. Like I said, I didn't have this confidence that I do now. The structure that I have now in my training regimen, everything, I had to grow up. I had to grow up into be who I am now. And it's only getting better, only up from here.
You posted something on your Instagram just a few days ago. I wanted to ask you about this. You wrote, coming off 2 back-to-back losses, I was hurting internally. My coach, Duke Rufus, told me to write out a personal mission statement and read it every day. It's helped a lot. I encourage you to try it. This is the mission statement. I will be confident and fearless in all that I do. No more second-guessing myself or my capabilities. Pessimistic thinking is no longer a habit. I can change my future. I can change my present. Being everything I am. Great. You read that?
I meant to put by.
Oh, all right. I didn't want to call you out on the typo.
I had a little typo. But yeah, man, I feel like I said, I had a very bad habits of, not viewing myself the way I should view it. You know, I had all these negative thoughts in my head, all these anxieties, a little bit of depression, and stuff that I had to overcome. And I feel like I am overcoming it. I had to get rid of some bad habits and replace them with good habits. And now things are playing out well, man. Everything, not only in my MMA, but in my relationship, my life outside of the fighting. You know, everything is a lot different for me now.
Wow. And when did this start? Like, when did you start to feel like it was starting to turn in this favor?
After I took my 2 losses back to back, man, I had to sit back and really reflect on things and see what can I change that's going to fix my external life. And I realized it was all internal growing.
Before you came to that realization, did you think about leaving MMA? Were you that much in pain?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I was having talks with my girl, having talks with my cousin. And I was just like, man, if I lose this 3rd fight in a row, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I might be done, you know. And at the time, too, I'm like, I didn't want to fight outside the UFC. So I was like, if I get cut, man, I'm going to be done. And it's crazy how it all plays out. Now I'm outside the UFC. I left on a win.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. I'm happier than ever.
And you're thriving. That's most important. And by the way, do you really read this mission statement every day?
Yeah, I do. I have it as my screensaver.
Wow.
Now it's changing. Now it's a different mission statement. I got to keep on progressing. I think I've learned a lot from that mission statement, and I want to just keep on growing and keep on trying the process. I'm gonna take every way to get better. You know, every way, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether I have to write stuff down or create, you know, just good habits. And I thought it was a great habit to create.
That was your first fight week in a very long time outside of the UFC. New promotion. You're kind of like the new kid at school. They run things a little differently. What was it like for you leading up to the fight?
Oh man, it was stressful. Honestly, I like I said, I came in this fight, new organization. I had a lot to lose this fight, you know, going against Alfred. You know, he's the underdog, so there was a lot on my shoulders. But all the experiences I had with the UFC made me realize, you know, just to chill out. It's definitely ran different over there and something that I had to get used to, but it felt good, man. It reminded me of the beginning. You know, I had to figure stuff out by myself, and I had to just enjoy the process.
They treat you well?
Oh, they treat me extremely well, man. Everyone at Bellator is extremely cool. Even the fighters in Bellator, they all were nice to me. You know, the staff was amazing. Fight week went smooth. Once I got the W, everything else just, you know, didn't matter at the time. So it planned out. Everything was as well. Everything was well.
By the way, any difference from a fighting perspective, fighting in an octagon as opposed to the circle cage for you?
Honestly, I didn't even really recognize that. The only thing that was really different was the walkout. You know, I usually have my corner with me. This time I was by myself, and I'm like, damn, like I'm legit by myself.
Then they meet you at the end, right? Right before you go into the cage.
Yeah, they're already in the cage, so you just walk in and you just see them in your corner.
Yeah. And your brother was there. He wasn't in your corner, but he was off to the side. And there's a great video that he posted of him celebrating your victory. And you kind of got on top of the cage and pointed at him. And what's amazing about this to me is this, and this is the footage right over here. This is literally a week after his fight. Unfortunately, it didn't go his way at 246. And to see him that genuinely happy for you, I mean, it actually makes me emotional to watch it. This is a great scene to have, right? This is a great moment between two brothers who have been through so much. Did you see that? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have saw it, man, and I saw him after the fight, everything, you know. Yeah, it sucks what happened for his fight, but it's part of the process. You know, he's fighting some of the best in the road, and the ups and downs of the sport, the ups and downs of life. I think people don't realize that it's not just a sport. You know, we have a life outside of fighting that we got to deal with, on top of going in there and fighting some of the best that are trying to hurt you. So, man, it's awesome to have Anthony in my life, man. He's taught me so much. He's the reason why I got into the sport. So I'm forever indebted to Anthony.
Are you perhaps, now that you've kind of gone through a tough time and seem to be thriving, are you trying to help him out to try to get over this hump in his I know younger brother doesn't always help older brother, so to speak, but do you have that kind of relationship where now he's leaning on you?
Yeah, I don't think he's leaning on me, but he does ask me for advice, just as I ask him for advice in and outside of the gym. So, yeah, I think we both help each other, man. We help each other in every way possible. Physically, I'm there training with him. Mentally, I give him advice. Mentally, he gives me advice. He's definitely paved a better Sergio Pettis, and I'm hoping I could do the same for him one day.
I know his contract is coming up soon. Not quite yet, but soon. Are you going to try to recruit him over to Bellator?
Nah, I'm not sure, man. Whatever he does, he does. You know, I think as long as he keeps fighting wherever, he'll be happy. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do.
Okay. And when do you want to return?
Whenever. I took no injury this fight, so I'm ready. I'm ready back in the gym, training, trying to get bigger, trying to look better. I'm forever just dedicated now, man. I'm dedicated every way possible. So whenever they call me up, I'll be ready.
How far away do you think you are from their title picture?
You know what? I really haven't even thought about that. Whenever it happens, it happens. One thing I've been practicing is being really present and staying in the moment. So presently, I'm just working on getting better so I can have a better future. So whatever happens, happens.
I love it. Well, congratulations, my man. It's a great story, and I appreciate you being so open about what you've been through and what you're experiencing now. Great to see you on top and doing so well. And there was often like this weird, I don't know, this like thread where it seemed like guys who would leave the UFC would then stumble in their debut. And on that particular night, we had you and Chris Cyborg do really, really well. I don't know if there was like some weird curse or something like that, but I think you guys squashed that night in Inglewood. So I'm very happy for you. Keep it up. Continued success, and great to have you on the show. Thank you.
I appreciate you for having me on air. Always a pleasure.
All right, there he is. Sergio Pettis, now a contender at 135 pounds in Bellator. Great win for him last weekend, 2 weekends ago. Won via first-round submission, a technical submission via guillotine choke. Now, let us move along to our next guest. It's been a very inspirational show today. We've had Eliot Marshall and Sergio Pettis, and when I announced that this man right here, Colby Covington, will be back on the show, wow, like 98% of the comments were positive. You missed him. You actually like him now. You actually want to hear from this man. How funny things go sometimes. Things have changed. There he is, back on the program. It has been a while. Colby Covington here to join us once again. Colby, how are you?
Man, it feels so good to be back, Ariel, man. The journalist of the year, the journalist of the decade. Man, I'm so honored to be in your presence today and get to talk to you.
Well, thank you. You know, we didn't get you on before the fight, 245. You know, I felt a little weird about that. You know, we've been through so much, but here you are. You were a man of your word. You told me you talked to us first after the fight, and a month and a half or so later, here you are on the program. So first things first, just want to know, how are you feeling? Because you didn't speak after the fight. You didn't go to the press conference. You went to the hospital. There were reports that you broke your jaw. Clear it up for us. Did you, in fact, break your jaw in that fight?
You know, I've been taking time to myself since the fight, you know, and I've been sitting back, and I wanted to see if these so-called journalists in the MMA world were going to actually sit back and look at this and analyze the fight, what really happened. And I've been sitting back, Ariel, and no one's been analyzing the fight objectively and calling it fair right down the middle. I'm not talking about you, Ariel. I mean, you have award-winning podcasts. You're working for ESPN. I mean, you got basketball games. I mean, you're the busiest man in all of sports right now. But I'm talking about these other so-called MMA journalists. And these aren't even journalists that actually got their journalism degrees like the great Stephen A. Smith. But these are so-called MMA journalists with their YouTube channels, and they're in their mom's basement, and they're eating Cheetos, and they can't call this fight fair. They can't actually look at the facts of the fight. Go look and review the tape of what happened on December 14th at UFC 245. And give a fair call. Call it down the center. What actually happened? Let's talk about the bullet points, Ariel. Okay. The first round, I wipe him up. Pillar to post. 10-9 round. Easy first round for me. The second round, I kick him in the guts. He's ready to quit. And all of a sudden, he looks at Mark Goddard. Can I get a timeout? Night shot. Let me call a nut shot. The dude got hit in the liver, and he was ready to fold up like a lawn chair. And then all of a sudden, he wants to call it nut shot. That's the fakest foul I've ever heard in all of fighting. Okay, whatever. No big deal. We go to the third round. The third round, Marty Fake Newsman gets poked in the eye, on the left eye, and he's holding his right eye. He's selling to the doctor that, my right eye. My right eye. Dude, you got poked in the left eye. Like, what are you doing? You're faker than fake. That's why you're Marty Fake Newsman, because you're making fake excuses. You want a momentum change, and that's what this is all about. The second round, when he took the nut shot, that he took my momentum away. The third round, he does the eye poke. He takes my momentum away. No big deal. It's okay. I don't want things fair, you know. I'm a man of integrity, you know. Marty Fake Newsman, Mark Goddard, they're not men of integrity. But that's another point in itself. Third round. How is it? I don't remember Ariel ever going on the mic and saying, "Hey guys, I got a broken jaw." How did my corner audio get released in the third round? I talked to my head coach, Conan Silver. I said, "Conan, something's wrong with my jaw. It might be a little, you know, it might be broken. Big deal. I'm going to keep fighting because that's what I do. I fight like the troops. You know, I leave it all out there. I put it all on the line. I sacrifice everything. And all I wanted was a fair fight. I wanted to fight to the death, and I got robbed of that. But whatever. We go to the fourth round. I get poked by Marty Fake Newsman. Mark Goddard looks at me. He's like, No more timeouts. You guys keep fighting. No more timeouts. I'm not stopping it. So he sees a clear foul while I get poked, but the fouls that he didn't see before, where I kicked him in the liver, an eye poke on the other side, and he's claiming it's on this side. Oh, I'm getting my corner audio. When he sees a foul, he doesn't call it. But let's talk about the 5th round. I'm beating his ass again. I've won the whole entire fight. The fight's mine. They're about to wrap the welterweight championship around my waist. And then all of a sudden I slip on a banana peel and I'm getting hit in the back of the head. And Mark Goddard is seeing this right in front of his face that I'm getting hit in the back of the head. You can go look at the video of the 5th round. I take 4 shots in the back of the head and I'm completely coherent. And I cover up the back of my head. And when I cover up the back of my head, he calls the fight. And I stand right up and I protest. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you calling the fight? I'm winning the whole entire fight. There's less than a minute left in the fight. You see a foul right in front of your face and you don't call it. But then when you don't see a foul in front of your face, you give him time and you throw him a life raft in a river when he's drowning. So, that's why he's named Mark Not So Goodard. And he shouldn't be a ref ever again. I feel bad for all the people out there that ever have to deal with him as a ref. And, look at the next week. Frankie Edgar had to die in a fight, just because, Mark Goddard was trying to do a makeup call because he fucked it up and did such a bad job in the fight against me and Marty Fake Newsman.
Wow. Okay. So you said a lot there. I appreciate that. I appreciate you breaking it down. One thing you didn't confirm, did you in fact break your jaw in the fight?
No, I didn't break my jaw in my fight. Does my jaw look broken? I've been smiling. I've been with all my mamacitas. The only person that's gotten their jaw wired shut is 50 Cent. If you want to talk about people who had to get their jaw wired shut, let's go talk about 50 Cent. A guy who he says, oh, I got shot 9 times. If he got shot 1 time by me, he wouldn't get back up. 50 Cent's a little bitch.
Wait a second. How did he get involved in all this? What's the story there?
Because he came out after the fight and he was talking mad crap on me, man. He was just saying all this stuff about me, talking all this smack, all MAGA doll, that MAGA fighter Colby Covington, putting all these Instagram posts up. So I want to propose here on Ariel Helwani's show today. I want to do a celebrity boxing match. I'm going to tie one hand behind my back and I'm going to fight 50 Cent. I'm going to put up $1 million of my dollars and I want to fight 50 Cent in a celebrity boxing match. And I'm going to donate all my money to the troops because I love the troops so much. They protect our freedoms. They put it all on the line for America. And I just, I want to fight 50 Cent.
Wow. Okay. So you want to fight 50 Cent in a boxing match and you will tie which hand around your back?
I'm going to tie my left hand behind my back or my right hand. He can pick which one. It really doesn't matter because both are lethal.
Right.
We got Bugattis on both knuckles. So I'll let him pick which hand he wants to put behind my back.
Okay. There you go. Just going back to the beginning, why have you remained quiet for so long? I mean, like I said, a month and a half, people were wondering what's up with you, how you're feeling, what your plans are. Why did you take a break from everything?
I just kind of wanted to sit back and I wanted to see how people were going to talk about the fight. I wanted to see all these so-called MMA journalists. I wanted to see how they were going to call it, if they were going to call it down the line, if they were going to call it fair, if they were going to take their feelings out, Ariel, because I know I am the most hated man in the UFC and the most hated man in sports right now. But, man, put your feelings to the side for a second. That's what real journalism is. Break down the fight. Actually analyze the fight. Tell me what happened in the fight. Break down each round. Let's talk about the fake nut shot. Let's talk about the fake eye poke. Let's talk about the fake stoppage, the fake ref. Let's talk about the fake NSAC, the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Let's talk about how they dropped the ball. How did they give my corner audio in the 3rd round when Marty Fake Newsman was ready to quit and give up, but all of a sudden he gets reinvigorated because he knows I have a broken jaw and he gets that information from his corner. How is that possible, Ariel?
Wait, but isn't that on the UFC? Weren't they the ones who broadcasted that moment?
I mean, I don't know if it's on the UFC or if it's in the Nevada Athletic Commission, but someone needs to be held accountable for this, man. I don't expect to get a fair fight. I know everybody hates me, but I'm fighting not only 2 people in the octagon. I'm fighting Marty Fake Newsman, and I'm fighting a corrupt, incompetent ref. And then I also have to fight against the Nevada Athletic Commission releasing my corner audio. I thought we were supposed to be 25 feet away in the octagon, and there's no supposed to be any audio of your corner, what's going on in between rounds. But how is it that gets broadcasted to the world? And when we're in a 20,000 sold out arena and everybody's going crazy, how is it that gets that corner advice back to the other corner that I have a broken jaw? And
so you think Kamaru somehow, you think Kamaru somehow in the midst of the event, in the midst of the fight, finds out about this? I mean, this is no different than Macy Barber, right? When they were talking about her knee and you know, Roxanne could hear about, but like, how would he get that information in the middle of the fight?
It's easy because, you know, everybody's talking about it on social media.
Okay.
On
Gotcha.
the broadcast there. Yeah, they're talking about it on the broadcast, and then it's so easy just to go over to their corner and then tell them, hey, you know, Colby just said he has a broken jaw. You know, there's a minute in between rounds. So, you know, that kind of information gets out real quickly when you're talking about social media and people talking about it on the broadcast. So, you know, it's just not fair, man. And they need to run this back. There's 10 more rounds of this, Ariel. Everybody knows that. There's going to be a sequel and there's going to be a trilogy to this. Marty Fake Newsman is the only one in the world that doesn't want this fight. The people want this fight. I am the people's champ for a reason, and I fight for the people. But Mark Not So Goodard robbed the people of a fair fight. He robbed the fight of a fight down the middle. And, you know, this needs to be ran back, Ariel. And if it's not run back, man, it's a very corrupt business, and you know, it's a fix, you know, and it's corrupt. And, you know, if I was Marty Fake Newsman, I would not accept a win like that, Ariel. I would not. I would run it back immediately, because you're not a man. If you accept winning like that, you're not a man, because you took breaks in the fight. You changed the momentum of the fight. You had a ref that was helping you in the fight. You had corner audio, all these things, and you still got your ass beat every single fucking round.
So to be clear, what you're saying is you want an immediate rematch. You want your next fight and Usman's next fight to be you versus him, part 2, right?
Part 2. There's 10 more minutes of this, Ariel. I beat his ass every round. He got saved by a ref. So there needs to be a part 2, and it needs to be ran back immediately. I know he's out there faking injuries, making fake excuses, making fake narratives already about a hand, you know, but this needs to get, you know, there needs to be justice, you know, and just like Donald Trump does for America, you know, he has the deck stacked against him. He still keeps fighting even harder, and we will overcome this. I promise you that by the end of this year, I will have that belt wrapped around my waist. And not that belt means anything, because it's a Power Ranger belt, and who could give a shit less, but it's a belt for the people, and the people want a fair fight. They pay their hard-earned money. You know, they go to work 9 to 5 every single day to work so hard and put it all on the line so they can spend it to the UFC, and they want a fair fight, fair judges. And we need to run this back immediately, Ariel.
You know, I don't know if you saw this, but last week, I believe it was, Kamaru Usman was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he said this about you, quote, "He really showed how good he is, and I give respect when respect is due. I'm no hater. I know he could fight. I know he was good. I knew he was tough, and I knew he was a competitor as well. He's always been a competitor." He went on to say he thinks that you are the second best guy in the division, and that perhaps you will meet down the line. So it seemed like... No. Why is that? It seems like he was giving you props.
Yeah. I mean, he's the second best fighter in the world. No doubt about it, you know, Ariel. If you talk about the king of the welterweight mountain, you see Marty Fake Newsman in second place and Colby Covington right up top, you know, but there's no one else. We're above the rest of the pack. That's why this needs to get ran back immediately, you know, and if it doesn't, then there's no just to the system, you know. And everybody gets rematches in this sport, you know, and it's a great fight. Everybody loved it, but the people made their, you know, they said what they wanted. They want the rematch. Everybody's talking about this fight. They want the rematch. So if there's no rematch, man, then, you know, I'm fighting Rosie O'Donnell then, you know. She's losing 10-8 rounds to Donald Trump on Twitter, and she's also losing 10-8 rounds to obesity and diabetes. But if Rosie O'Donnell wants to come out talking that shit about Colby Covington, you know, now I have a voice. Now I have a platform. Now we can talk, Rosie O'Donnell. Just because your girlfriends are sweating me on Instagram, don't get mad at me just because I'm raw American steel and twisted sex appeal, baby.
Did you realize that the fans were missing you so much? Like, I was shocked. Every time we've had you on in the past, you know, it's, Colby. You mentioned, you know, most hated guy in the UFC. And yesterday the comments were all about you. Oh, he's back. He's back. Can't wait to hear from Colby. How did this happen? Just because you lost the fight, now everyone loves you? Have you noticed this as well? And how do you digest this when they hated you, it seemed like, for so long? Now it seems like there's so many new fans of yours.
You know, isn't it crazy, Ariel, that, you know, I want people to hate me. And I've went about my business and I've wanted people to hate me, but they're still cheering for me. They're cheering in the T-Mobile Arena at UFC 245 when I walk down the aisle. Colby. USA, USA, USA. I didn't hear Nigeria. I didn't hear Marty Fake Newsman. No one cares about Marty because they see through his act. They see how fake he is. His personality is trash, man. He's a human trash bag. I mean, literally, a mop has more charisma than Marty Fake Newsman. People love me because they see how real I am. I'm honest. I call it right down the line, you know, and I've never had, you know, I don't ask for fair fights. You know, all I ask is that I'm going to keep, you know, overcoming things, you know, and that's what Americans is all about. You know, we face adversity, but we got to overcome it. It doesn't matter if the deck's stacked against you. You got to keep fighting and you got to keep earning it. And I think that's why people are starting to come around to me and they like me. And, you know, if they like me or love me, Ariel, like I always say, you know, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. And I'm going to keep doing what I do, putting it all on the line for the fans. That's why they call me the people's champ, America's champ, and Donald Trump's favorite fighter.
That being said, on the Sunday after your loss, it did seem like people were reveling in the fact that you had a broken jaw. I'm wondering, did the president reach out to you and offer you any support?
He did, yeah. He called me right after the fight. You know, I got some great words of support for him. You know, he left me a voicemail before the fight. You know, I can't thank the First Family and Donald Trump for everything they've done to support me in my career and just lift me up when I needed a little boost. You know, those people are so real, man. People don't see past the fake news media. They just see what they read. You know, they don't believe what they actually witness. You know, and you know, Donald Trump is doing great things for America. You know, our economy is doing better than it's ever done. You know, unemployment's at an all-time low, and you know, I can't thank those guys enough for bringing me in, you know, treating me first class all week in Vegas, letting me stay at the Trump Hotel, giving me a nice suite so I was comfortable all week. You know, it couldn't have been a better week for me besides, you know, going into the fight. You know, it was just, you know, and having to go against two people in an octagon. I thought a referee was supposed to be a fly on the wall, you know, but instead he wanted to make it about him. And it's sad because I went in the locker room. I'm like, Mark Goddard, you do not stop this fight. I fight to the death. You do not even think about stopping this fight if I slip on a banana peel. I fight to the death. Unless I'm unconscious inside that octagon, I do not want this fight stopped. That's what I signed up for. So don't rob me of what I signed up for. And the fact that he robbed me of what I signed up for is pathetic. And Mark Goddard should never ref a UFC fight ever again in his entire life. And I want my rematch right away.
And just to be clear, did you ever have an issue with him in the past? Did he ever ref one of your fights or friends or teammates' fights and you felt like he wasn't calling it down the line, or was this your first issue with him?
No, I've never had any issues with him, but, you know, I know that he hates Trump, and I know that he's a big Michael Bisping fan and a big Darren, the Doughboy Till fan. So, you know, he hates me. You know, I knew he had out for me for the second he came in the locker room, Ariel. He came in the locker room and, like, I was warming up, and he's, Colby, right here, right now. I'm like, what, dude? What are you? You're not my boss. You don't tell me what to do, man. Like, I'll come to you when I'm ready to come to you. Like, don't make this show about you, man. You're supposed to be a fly on the wall. You're not supposed to take over and make the show about you. But that's what he was all about. He was about making the show about him. Oh, I'm going to stop giving fake nut shot. I'm going to interject in between the fight, get my FaceTime in the middle of a UFC World Championship fight. Oh, let's make this about the ref. You know, let me get my character over, you know. And it's sad, you know, that because, you know, obviously you see the next week, you know, Frankie had to die because of it, you know. So, you know, it's just, he'll never ref one of my fights ever again as long as I live. I promise you that.
Wednesday of last week, Miami, Radio Row, footage emerges of Usman and Masvidal getting into it. What did you make of that scene?
Oh, man, that was a funny scene. Everybody knew that was, you know, set up from the start. You know, they got the cameras out. Oh, let's make this look like it's a real drama. That ain't real drama, man. That's you guys just trying to sell something that's not even there, you know. I mean, we got Street Judas on one hand. The guy's pathetic, man. He's got a mediocre average record. You know, he's the broken mediocre fighter champion. No one cares about him. He's so fake and you know, he's a bottom tier fighter. You know, he's not going to be ready to fight at the world championship level. And Marty Fake Newsman, he's just trying to do something. You know, he's got no way to sell a fight, and he's got no friends, obviously, because no one's even watching his back. So you could tell how likable he is as a person. You know, no one cares about Marty Fake Newsman. But let's be honest, Ariel, you really think that Street Judas, also known as journeyman George Masvidal, is really going to fight Marty Fake Newsman? Or is he going to look and wait for that Conor fight or wait for a Nate Diaz fight, an easier fight where he has a realistic chance to win because he's not beating anybody in the top of the division like myself or Marty Fake Newsman? So, you know, I don't see him taking that fight anytime soon. And I think that's going to set up the rematch with me and Marty Fake Newsman.
On Friday, Dana White was doing media at Radio Row and whatnot, Will Kane Show, Jim Rome, and he said that they're going to do that fight International Fight Week in Las Vegas. How did you feel when he said that? Were you disappointed? Did you think you had a chance? And do you still feel like you have a chance to get it next?
To be honest, that's the first time I've heard that. So, you just let me know that. I don't pay attention to anything Dana says anymore. I think George is going to ask for too much money, and it's going to come down to a money issue. And then, who they're going to have to call? They're going to have to call the bad guy for hire, Colby Covington, Donald Trump's favorite fighter. Got my son, Keep America Great hat on. We got our new campaign coming out this year. 2020 is going to be a big year, Ariel. So, I'll be ready International Fight Week. If journeyman George Masvidal, a.k.a. Street Judas, pulls out or is waiting for that Conor fight because he doesn't want to lose his steam off of what he's got going, because let's be honest, that's all he's got. Street Judas, journeyman George Masvidal, he hit lightning in a bottle, Ariel, and he knows he needs to capitalize off that lightning in a bottle. He's all hype. He has, 14 fucking losses on his record? He's a journeyman 50-50 fighter. What's his record in the last 10 fights? 5-5? That guy deserves a title shot? That's not what the people want. The people want me, Ariel, and I'm the people's champion for a reason. I fight for the people. If I don't get my rematch, they're doing the people wrong.
After the fight, it did seem like Dana White gave you props in the media and the scrum afterwards and whatnot, and I thought maybe that this was a bit of an olive branch, if you will. Did you not take it that way?
I don't know. I honestly, like I said before, I didn't pay attention to anything Dana says, and I'm just focused on me and the people around me that really care about me. They want to give me a fair shake in life. The people that that want to give me things the real way. I earned everything the hard way, and for him to take it away and not give me a rematch when it was blatant that I got cheated. I mean, look at the momentum shifts in the fight, man. I won the whole entire fight. I was up 3-1 on the judges' scorecards. On one scorecard, one was 2-2 going into the fifth. I mean, it's my fight, and to get cheated and have to fight against two people. And look at that guy. He's juiced out of his mind on EPO, and they never even tested him before the fight. To have all that and overcome all that adversity and still beat his ass for 25 minutes, everybody knows I'm the real world champion. Just because I don't have some fake Power Ranger belt around my waist doesn't mean anything. I'm still the people's champ. I'm still America's champ. And you have not seen the best Colby Covington yet. I promise you that. Mark my words, Ariel.
I have to ask, last weekend, Michael Chiesa called you out. What did you make of that? Did you hear that one?
Nah, didn't hear that. Like I said, I haven't been paying attention to anything to do with the UFC. I've been enjoying a little vacation. I was out running the mountains of Oregon with my good friend Cameron Haynes. That guy inspires me so much, man. He pumps me up, and man, he now I'm back on the journey. I'm back on the gravy train, and I'm ready to get back to work, man. He inspired me, man. Seeing a guy like that who runs ultra marathons, a guy like that who puts it all on the line every day. He has a regular job, but he's up in the morning at 5 a.m. running a 3 to 5 mile mountain uphill, and then he goes back to work, and then he goes back to the hill, runs another 3 to 5 miles, and then he goes to the gym and he's lifting weights. So, this is a guy who is so inspiring and so motivating to me, and he just made me find my hunger and my fire and my passion for competing again and for working out. And man, I'm ready to get back on the train. The Colby train ain't getting stopped this year, Ariel. I promise you that.
So you predict this time next year you're the champ already. By the end of the year, you will have fought for the belt and will have won that belt.
Yeah, as long as no more excuses are being made, no more fake injuries, fake narratives out there. I will be the champ. As long as you lock me back in that cage and give me a fair fight with Marty Fake Newsman, I guarantee he's not making it out alive.
Did you have a week or two after the fight where you licked your wounds, where you felt bad, where you were down because this was your big title fight, finally fighting for the belt? How did you react to the loss?
I reacted, mainly just that, I was cheated. That's what sucked. That was what was hard to swallow, is that, I got cheated. I had a very bad ref in there. I had to fight two guys there that night. And, I wasn't really mad. I've already won a UFC world title. I'm already a world champion. I've already done everything there is to do in this sport, first and only fighter to ever go to the White House and hang out with a sitting president, I've done everything. So, I wasn't really disappointed in the loss. I was disappointed of how the loss came about. And that was in a cheating way. Marty Fake Newsman, he's a fake. He's a cheat. He's a coward. He has no integrity. And, to win a fight like that, man, I wouldn't accept winning a fight like that, Ariel. That's, if you give me a fight where the ref just was all in my favor and giving me fake foul calls And then when I'm fouling the other guy, not calling the actual foul calls, I wouldn't accept winning that way. And I'd want a run back and a rematch immediately because, that's not a right way to win. So, I didn't hang my head low if that's what you're talking about. Everybody's like, oh, man, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should hang your head. On what, man? I went out there and put it all on the line for 25 minutes. What have you ever done that you've put it all on the line for 25 minutes? You're too busy eating Cheetos in your mom's basement, man. You're working 9 to 5 jobs, and why are you going to hate on me? I'm at the top of my sport, and I've done everything there is to do in this sport, and I blatantly just got cheated. So, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I don't want any sympathy. I just want to get back on the train, and I want my rematch, and I want what's right. That's what's more important. Don't let the truth and the facts hurt your feelings. Let's call it right. Let's call it objectively, and let's call it fair. That's all I ask for in the future.
2 more things. And again, thank you very much for the time, Colby. Have you been back to ATT? A lot of talk about how you would be received by Masvidal, by Poirier, Joanna, Amanda Nunes, all these people. Have you been back? And if so, what's it been like?
I haven't been back, to be honest. I've been training on my own dime. I've been training on my own time, doing my own thing. I've been in Oregon, I went to Oregon to visit my family for the holidays, visit my high school wrestling team, giving back, to the youth and to my high school wrestling team, running those guys through wrestling practices for a couple weeks, training with my buddy Cam Haynes. And I'm just getting back to Florida now. So, I'm going to go back to American Top Team this week. And, I'm not worried about those guys. You're talking about guys, what are they going to do to me? They can't do anything to me. I'm the best fighter in the world. I'm the best fighter that's ever been seen in the welterweight division. So, I'm not really too worried about those jobbers. And I'm going to keep doing what I do because that's what kings do. Just like my good friend Candace Owens told me, kings don't worry about the opinions of cockroaches, Ariel. Thank you, Candace Owens. I love you. Thank you so much for coming to my fight and supporting me. I will have you wrap that belt around my waist this year. I've marked my words, Candace Owens.
The night before your fight, Jon Jones at a press conference called you an habitual liar and a horrible person. Were you, he's fighting this weekend, of course. Were you bothered by those comments?
I'm not bothered by those comments at all. He sounds so delusional. You're talking about a guy that hit a pregnant lady at a red light stop and then fled to the foothills with all his drugs and all his, alcohol and cocaine. You're talking about a guy who had 2 hookers in the back of his Bentley that the UFC gave him, and he wrecked that and crashed that on a pole. And he's supposed to have his wife and kids at home. Oh, I'm about God. I'm about my family. I'm a good husband. Dude, you just wrecked a Bentley with 2 hookers in the back, and you got cocaine all in your system. Like, who's the habitual liar, man? I've always been honest. I call things fair, and I call them right down the center. And sometimes I'm too real, and sometimes I'm too brutally honest. But hey, man, you got to respect a guy, that calls it brutally honest. That's what I'm here for. So, John Coke Jones, the guy's an afterthought. No one cares about him anymore. That's why when he came on the show today, none of the fans, even talked about him or said any comments about him, Ariel, because they see through his act, man. The guy's faker than fake. And the guy's completely lying all the time. Oh, I'm about God. I'm about my family. No, you're not, dude. You're about cocaine. You're about hookers. You're about drugs. You're about steroids. How many steroid tests have you failed? So if there's any habitual liar, that's Jon Jones.
Colby, welcome back. Nice to hear from you again. Nice to have you on the program. So you've made it very clear that's what you want. You want the rematch. You want to fight Kamaru Usman, and you're not settling for anything else. You're sitting out until they give you that. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. I will be sitting out until they give me my rematch and my world championship that I never lost. So it's world championship or bust, or unless they can find some other, big, massive fight that goes to that degree. But I don't see them doing that. So, I'm fighting for a world championship, or, I might not ever fight again. We'll just have to see.
Okay. Thank you very much, Colby. We'll leave it at that. Appreciate the time. Glad to hear that your jaw wasn't, in fact, broken in the fight. And, great fight, great performance, one of the best fights of the year. And would like to see it again at some point. And I wish you the best in trying to secure that rematch sooner rather than later. So appreciate you coming on, my man, and we'll talk to you very soon. Thanks for the time.
Thank you to the journalist of the decade, Ariel Helwani. It was an honor, and I look forward to next time we do it again.
As do I. There he is, the one and only Colby Chaos Covington. There is only one Colby Covington, and we had not heard from him in quite some time. And I think he said a lot there, and I think he has given us a lot to chew on. So we'll see how that all plays out. Dana White was on a bunch of radio shows, including ESPN's own Will Kane show on Friday afternoon, saying that they want that fight, Masvidal-Usman International Fight Week in Las Vegas, though I did speak to sources close to Masvidal who said that that fight isn't done quite yet. I think a big piece of this pie, as Colby alluded to, is what does Conor do next? Who does he fight next? I think Masvidal has been clear in saying that the Conor fight is the one they would pick first because of the money attached. But if that's not available, obviously the belt is the next big thing that they can get. So it's going to be a very interesting couple of months in the UFC, seeing how all these pieces play out. I'd love to see that fight again at some point. I think it would be a great fight, and it was one of the best fights of 2019. I wonder, though, if they do give it to him next. It's going to be very interesting to see. All right. So thank you very much to Colby Covington for coming on. We appreciate it. Now, time for my interview with Jon Jones. So to set the scene, late Thursday, flew to Albuquerque. First time I was back there in about 5 years. And Friday night at around 7:15 p.m. Mountain Time, Albuquerque time, we were in Jackson Wink Academy in the heart of downtown Albuquerque and had a chance to sit down in front of the man who many people consider to be the greatest fighter of all time. He returns to action this Saturday, UFC 247, Houston, Texas, one-on-one with Johnny Bones Jones, the light heavyweight champion. Enjoy. Jon, how are you?
What's up, Ariel?
It's good to see you, my man.
My man.
Thank you for having us here. First time I was ever in Albuquerque, sitting in front of you, it was 2011. Do you remember when that was?
Or was that when we took that walk?
No, it was way before that. It was February of 2011.
Okay.
You had just beat Ryan Bader, and you were about to fight for the belt.
Nice.
9 years ago. Almost exactly 9 years to the day.
Wow.
And it was in the old gym. And now here we are in this new gym, and you're about to defend the title once again. I'm just curious, who was that guy 9 years ago? And what's the difference between that guy and this guy now at 32?
No, man, well, I've learned a lot. Constantly growing, evolving as a father, as an athlete. I just feel great. I feel great. You know, many more championships since then. I'm still here and feeling great.
Deep down, did that guy think you would be that successful? The success that you've had, you know, people call you the GOAT, people call you, you know, one of the greatest ever. You're still at the top of your game. You're cleaning out the division, all that stuff. Deep down in your heart, did you think it would turn out like this, or are you even surprised by how good of a fighter you've become?
Deep down inside, I did feel that I would be in the situation I'm in now. And I'm excited to see me 10 years from now, you know. I believe I'll still be on top of the sport. Yeah, I've always had a very strong conviction that I could be the greatest ever, and sure enough, it's just years of belief and hard work. We're here.
Yeah, and you know, as you said, you know, you've learned a lot. There have been ups and there have been downs, but it seems like as of late, there's been, you know, a fairly consistent trend up, right? Not a lot of drama, just focus. You were very active last year, fought 3 times in the span of what, like 6-7 months. Do you feel like all that stuff is behind you? Do you feel like the storm is behind you?
I do feel like the storm's behind me. It has been an interesting journey, and I've learned so much, and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to have had all the lessons that I've been able to learn. I'm grateful that God has kept me through all of it. And just allowed me to grow so much through it all. And yeah, I think my best days are definitely still ahead of me. I feel like I'm just now really getting to a nice groove of what it means to be a father and a professional athlete and a person with great responsibility. And I'm excited about this, and I feel like I'm stepping into it well.
How did you get on track? How did you, was there a moment, was there a conversation, was there an epiphany that allowed you to try to, you know, stay on this positive track?
You know, I just feel like I was maybe at a place where I felt like I was throwing a lot of greatness away. And, you know, I believe that talent and when you have opportunity, it's a terrible thing to waste. So I just felt, you know, I feel like these days I just take more accountability for my actions and for my, you know, my emotions and my circle and behaviors and things like that. And I think that's been the major difference, just more accountability.
And, you know, I remember talking to you in November of 2018 when you were in my studio. Last time we had an extensive sit down. And one thing that I thought was really interesting about that conversation was you were brutally honest about where you're at and what's to come. And I said to you, like, oh, you know, maybe if you go 10 years without doing anything, you know, wrong, all that other stuff will be forgotten. You were like, 10 years, that's a very long time. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I can't promise.
Yeah, no promises.
Do you still feel the same way?
Yeah, you can never promise anything in life. You never know. You just never know what twists and turns life's going to throw at you. But I do feel like I'm on a great track, and I'm excited to I'm just excited to just continue to elevate and just be the best person that I can be, and try to help as many people as I can help, and yeah, I've never been more excited for my future.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really excited for my future. I see nothing but great things coming in my future. Yeah.
Not that long ago, you were talking about, you know, super fights, big fights, things to get you excited. It seemed like you were sort of jonesing for a big fight, you know, like a mega fight, if you will. When you got the Dominic Reyes fight, was that initially a bit of a letdown? Was that not the super fight that you were looking for?
No, it wasn't a letdown. I mean, Dominic Reyes he's a hell of an opponent. You know, he's undefeated. He's extremely athletic. He believes in himself. He's knocked out almost everyone he's gone against. And in order to be the best ever, you got to take on all comers. And so I'm excited for this challenge. Yeah, and I know bigger fights are ahead of me for sure. You know, I'm only 32 years old.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out new ways to just stay on top of my game and stay young and preserving myself better. And so I know mega fights are inevitable, and I just got to be appreciative for where I am now today.
When he beat Chris Weidman and he made the comment about the party favors, was that almost like a good thing for you, because then it made it personal and that kind of gave you a little bit of a push, lit a fire under you to act, okay, now I have a reason to want to beat this guy up?
Yeah. No, it wasn't necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's something that's going to be tagged to my image and reputation maybe forever, and I'm okay with it. We all have our pasts, and that's what makes us who we are in the present.
So you're at peace with that?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I can't allow my past to hold weight over me. You gotta forgive yourself for mishaps in life, and you gotta move forward. You can't hold yourself in prisons, and you can't allow anybody else to hold yourself in prisons. If people are talking about things I did 5 years ago, that means I'm doing something right.
Right. Was that always the case, or was that just a part of your maturation process where you started to say, I need to start letting go of the past?
Yeah, it wasn't always the case. You know, it's taken a while for me to be able to be comfortable with some of the mistakes I've made and things like that. But I'm grateful that I am at a place where I'm comfortable with who I am, comfortable in my own skin, and you know, there's no good without the bad. You know, so yeah, so I'm grateful, and I just feel good.
When we spoke in November of 2018, you told me that the previous summer you checked into a trauma rehab center.
Yes.
You were dealing with the loss of your mother and also getting stripped and all that. And you actually told me that you were planning on doing it every summer. You were going to check in. Did you do it last summer?
No, I didn't.
How come?
I didn't. Just because I feel like I took a lot out of going into a trauma therapy, center. I felt like I took a lot out of it. I still carry the lessons that I've learned, lots of lessons that I've learned, and I didn't really feel a need. I feel great. I feel great. I think I faced a lot of the issues that I was going through, and got to let a lot of it, off my shoulder, and I just didn't feel like I needed it.
I know you were very close to your mom.
Yes.
How often do you think about her, and how big of a part of your life is trying to, continue to do well in honor of her and trying to, make her proud wherever she may be?
Yeah, my mom, Camille Jones, was an amazing woman, amazing Christian. She gave back to absolutely everyone. Her funeral was so epic because I got to watch maybe 10, 15 women stand up and talk about the way my mom helped them get off drugs, or got them out of abusive relationships, or just dropped off food or clothed their children, things like that. My mom's funeral was just so inspiring to me because I realized that my mom was a rock star. She was an absolute rock star, and in her own way, and it made me really kind of look at my platform out of a different lens, and I realized I had the means and the ability to give back to so many people and to do so much for the world and make such a positive impact. And that's what I've gotten out of my mom's legacy is you know what are you doing with your talents and your gifts. And so I definitely try to keep my mom in mind through a lot of my actions and decisions. And yeah, I want to make her proud for sure. I know that she has front row seats at everything I'm doing, front row seats at my events and everything. And I definitely want to make her proud for sure.
When you told me back then that you weren't sober anymore and that you enjoyed drinking and things like that, that was a big headline, right? Because everyone's always wondering about your sobriety or what you're doing. Where does that stand right now?
Sobriety, I mean, I'm like 90% of the UFC roster.
What does that mean?
Just your average guy. I'm a very normal person outside of being a stud fighter. You know, I enjoy my weekends. I enjoy my family. I enjoy everything that everyone else you know, is doing. I've obviously let the hard partying side of myself go completely.
Okay.
It's been 3 years since I've done anything wild like the way I used to be, and I'm really proud of myself about that. But outside of that, yeah, I'm just like everybody else. I have beers on the weekends, and but I work really hard, and yeah.
Do you cut it off before the fight at some point?
Absolutely.
So like
Absolutely.
here we are, a little over a week. Is that no more?
You know, I got my traditions. You know,
what's that?
I got my traditions.
What's the tradition?
You know, I do my thing.
Okay.
I like to enjoy myself, Ariel. I think to earn a certain life and to deal with the level of pressure that I deal with, you got to have a balance in life. So I do a really good job of working and playing and just being true to myself and making myself happy and making my family happy, my friends, my coaching staff. You know, everybody feels good, and I think it's important to feel good with what you're doing.
2019, how would you describe that year for you? 2019
was tremendous, Ariel. It was awesome. I got some great fights out of the way. I got to take on the first wave of this new decade, or this new generation of fighters or whatever. Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, to finish Alexander Gustafsson. It was just great, man. It was great. You know, I feel like I could have competed a little harder, and I would have liked to finish some fights. But I'm grateful for the wins against some young men that were doing really great, man. Especially Thiago Santos. I mean, he has a hell of a record. Great character, right? Christian guy, single dad, former military, gives back to his community. I mean, he would have made a tremendous champion. And I think that's as tough as it's gonna get, guys like him, man. I honestly think Thiago Santos is 2 to 3 times the opponent of Dominick Reyes, to be honest with you. It's a great year. I'm very happy with myself and my team and what we were able to accomplish.
Some people were critical of that performance because you didn't finish him, right? Did you think that was unfair?
Yeah, it's unfair. Of course it's unfair, man. I mean...
Did it bother you?
Yeah, Jordan didn't win every game, you know what I mean? Kobe didn't win every game. They didn't make every throw. You know, I'm winning consistently, and I'm not going to be incredibly impressive every time. No, it didn't bother me. I know how hard it is to do what I do, and like I said, Thiago he was such a worthy opponent.
So that was your second win in 2019. Gustafsson was at the very end of 2018.
Right.
And it seemed like everything was going great. And then there was the one thing that came up here in Albuquerque, right? Where you pled no contest at the bar. You've never talked about this.
I haven't.
Could you tell us your side of the story? What happened there? Because it seemed like people were worried when that came out.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Things were going so well. Are we going to go back to the old stuff?
Yeah. No, we're not going back to anything old.
And so there are no repercussions to that. That's all done with, right?
Yeah, that's completely gone.
You said you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Are you trying hard to not be in the wrong place to try to avoid situations like that? Because you're probably one of the most famous people living in Albuquerque, right?
Yeah.
If not the most famous.
Oh, well, Holly's definitely the most famous
Fair
person
enough.
here. Yeah.
Fair
Not
enough.
many people look like her out here.
Right.
She's a goddess, man. I love that girl.
So there's a bit of a target, you think, on you?
There's a little bit of a target on me, for sure. But, you know, the people of Albuquerque, they treat me amazing. I'm very accepted here. I'm one to rub elbows with the people. I love getting to know people in the highest places and people in the lowest places. That's just always been who I am. And, you know, you can't hide and isolate yourself from the community because one bad apple decided to come out and do something like that. You know, just like, you know, one bad officer doesn't mean the whole police force is against you, you know what I mean? So I love this community with all my heart, and I just can't wait to right some of the wrongs that I made here by just trying to change this place with everything I got. I think as I get older, you'll see me just doing so much for this community. I'm going to start right here and try to change this place somehow. Like
what you did during Christmas, right? Giving out the coats and the presents.
Yeah, that's just a warm up. That's just a warm up.
Yeah,
and a lot of things that I'll do and that I've done, and it's things that I don't talk about or publicize. But yeah, I'm definitely realizing that I have a platform and an ability to impact a lot of lives, and I'm excited to get to that.
Is it important for you that when it's all said and done, people talk about your greatness first and not he was great, but he, you know what I mean?
But what?
You know, the stuff that happened in the past, the UFC 200.
Don't need to list it.
Okay, you know, right?
Yeah.
Is that important to you to try to do as much as you can to, as you say, right those wrongs?
I think I don't like I said, I don't allow myself to be held in prisons. I don't allow people to hold me in prisons. We all have our past, and I'm genuinely over, you know, the negative things that's happened in my life. I think through time, my good deeds and my work ethic and things like that, you know, the wins and my impact are going to far outweigh, you know, my early 20s.
Do you get nervous before the fights with all the picogram stuff and the pulsing and all? Like,
nah.
You don't freak out about that?
Nah.
Okay.
No.
You don't. I mean, I thought maybe you had like PTSD or something because there's always like, you know, before the Gustafsson fight, the Smith fight.
No.
That's all behind you.
Yeah, it's behind me. It's behind me. You know, I hope, you know, the pulsing, you know, doesn't come back at all. And excuse me, sorry.
No problem.
It's been scientifically proven that in no way, shape, or form could it possibly infect my performances, and that's all I need to hear, and I think that's all most people need to hear if you have any common sense. You know, there's some people who are gonna, there's some people that's gonna want to hang on to that, and I'm aware of, you know, the fact that when you attain a certain level of greatness or whatnot, people are gonna want to try to attach you to any type of mud they can, and I gotta be okay in this place, and just keep going. So yeah.
You mentioned Kobe Bryant. The whole world is still grieving what happened. I mean, it's just unbelievable tragedy. And I saw you post a few things about him on Instagram. Yeah. And you're a father of 4 girls as well, right?
Yeah.
You're a girl dad too.
Mm-hmm.
How did that news impact you? Not only hearing about him, you know, one might say you're the Kobe Bryant of MMA, right? At least in your time, and then to hear about his daughter and those other young girls on that helicopter. How did you handle that?
Yeah, it was shocking. It was shocking and so disappointing. I learned so much from it. You know, I learned to be more appreciative for life. It made me, you know, want to just hug my daughters closer. Yeah, it was just so sad, man. Just gone too soon. Kobe Bryant, I feel like the legacy that he was getting started outside of basketball was just so much bigger than what he did in basketball. He had foundations everywhere. He died being a hell of a dad. So I feel like he's in a better place, and I feel a personal obligation to pick up where he left off, and just try to be as great as I can be in the cage and for humanity. And that's what I took from Kobe's situation. You know, bring that Mamba mentality, keep that Mamba mentality that I feel like I have when it comes to the octagon, but introduce that Mamba mentality when it comes to humanity, you know, in ways that I can help this world out. So,
you know, we were just talking about living up to your potential, right, and making the most of your career in your prime. When you see something like that, is it a reminder that you have a gift and you can't, you know, let this go? You need to maximize your potential?
You got to. Yeah, you got to. You know, Colby said, find something you love and do your absolute best at it. Give it everything you got. And I'm truly blessed to know what I love, and I feel like I was born to be a fighter. I genuinely love what I do, and the inspiration that you get out of the situation is just to give it everything you got every day. You owe it to Colby. You owe it to the people who are maybe handicapped and who can't do it. You know, you owe it to the world to show them how great they can be by me just trying to be the best that I can be.
You know what the first question is going to be when you fight Dominic and all goes well on February 8th for you in Houston. The first question is going to be heavyweight, right? This is what everyone wants. They want to see you go to heavyweight. What are the chances, if all goes well on February 8th, that your next fight is at heavyweight?
There's a really good chance.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Have you set your mind to that? Do you feel like there's nothing left at 205?
Yeah, I feel like I really want to fight Stipe Miocic. I feel like I could beat him. Next,
you don't want like a tune-up, just go straight for the belt?
I don't think I would need a tune-up. I'm pretty tuned up. I'm pretty in tune. I feel great. I feel strong already. But, you know, like Stipe's like, what, 230 or something?
Yeah, in the 230, 240 range.
Yeah, I feel like me at a lean 230 is plenty. I feel like I could totally beat him. Just based on his performances with DC, our speed differences, my fight IQ, my versatility, my faith and confidence. I think I'm the guy to beat him for sure. And I want to strike while I'm feeling hot.
So you'd like that to be next? Maybe take that fight from DC? Is that part of it?
Ariel, right now, you know, it's Dominic Reyes. Right. You know, right now it's Dominic Reyes, and yeah, I like to fight him, but at the end of the day, too, I'm happy. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, man. Man, I've been cruising through some victories, man. You know, and they say if it's not broke, don't fix it. So whether I get the heavyweight title, whether it comes against him, whether it comes a few years from now, I just learned to just be in the moment, be grateful for just where you are now, and the future will take care of itself.
If you do go up, when you go up, will you go back down, or do you think that it's one of those things that you go up, you'll stay there forever?
I think I'll go up and go straight for the king.
Okay.
And
but then will you be done at 205?
No, I think I would probably go back down to 205.
Do both?
Yeah, getting down to 205 just makes me feel good about myself.
Okay.
It just makes me feel good just to earn that victory and to detox myself and to lose the weight over, you know, again. It just makes me feel like I'm you know, the journey to get down to the weight class and just to feel ultimately like prepared. I just love it. I feel at my highest, like mentally and spiritually and just physically. Like there's something about getting down to my weight class that just makes me feel supercharged.
Is there anyone at 205 anymore after Dominic that you have your eye on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. I think Corey Anderson's going to try to bring it. Yeah. I think Johnny Walker's going to bring it. And these 85-pounders are constantly moving up. Okay. So, yeah.
So you're not having trouble finding motivation?
No.
Okay.
No. Listen, every piece to the puzzle is a very important piece, or else you don't got a masterpiece at the end.
And I have to ask about Israel. He brings out a special side of you. It seems like you almost enjoy the back and forth with him.
Yeah,
right?
I was loving it.
Yeah.
I was loving it.
Why?
Well, it was just fun. Honestly, it was just fun. I bicker and I talk crap with a lot of people, and he's hot right now in the sport. So it's just fun to attach myself to his fight weeks.
So he said he'll chase you up to heavyweight. He'll chase you all over the place. You're kind of you don't buy it?
Come on. Daniel Cormier has fought many heavyweights, and he says in his interviews that Jon is a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger than you would imagine when you're in there with him. This is a guy who's fought, I mean, Bigfoot Silva, right?
Right.
Bigfoot Silva.
Yep.
I don't think a long, lean middleweight would present me much problem, especially once I got my hands on him and put him to the ground. Yeah. People can eat up what he's saying, but the truth of the matter is he's scared today.
Why do you think that?
Oh, he'll be scared in 2020 as well.
Okay.
Yeah. His back is going to be against the wall in 2020.
2021.
2021,
yeah,
right?
That's right. Yeah,
correct.
Because that's when you guys said that.
That's when he said
Raiders Stadium.
He'll be. This is all what he's saying. At the end of the day, dude, I am so far ahead when it comes to, I mean, you name it. In every sense of this game, I'm so far ahead of this kid. So the fact that I'm even talking about him right now, I'm just going to stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's a big fight, right? You don't think? With his fan base and what he has going in your fan base?
I don't want to come across as arrogant, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm a man, and he's like a child when it comes to this game. What I've proven already, what I've done, where I'm going. People can be more popular than me. People can be, you guys got guys like Connor who makes more money than me. These type of things, I'm not in it for what's hot right now. I'm a household name in combat. And so, like I said, even me bringing him up right now is flattery to a boy that doesn't deserve me to be talking about him.
So you don't care if you never fight?
No, come on.
Just
He's
felt like
hot right now.
Right.
Let's see.
You're not buying it.
Let's see.
Like you think Yoel could beat him?
Yoel is there's very likely chance Yoel will beat him. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm mad you brought him up, honestly.
I'm sorry. Well, it's such a big
fine.
fight. Everyone loves the back and forth between you two, and
I'm done with that.
You're done with it.
Yeah, I thought about
anymore?
it, and it's just like the more I talk about him, it's raising his stock. Like I've been winning world championships, since he was getting knocked out overseas, fighting for $5,000. I've been doing this for years at the highest level. World championship fight after world championship fight. So like I said, he's hot right now. That's
okay.
it.
I've been dying to ask you this. I hope you remember, I know it was like a month or so ago, when you guys had the face-off in Las Vegas, you and Dominic. It was a pretty good face-off, and you went away, and then you went back and you said something to him, and you kept saying something to him. What did you say to him? Do you remember?
Yeah, I just told him that he had really bad breath.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. It was bad. Dana started laughing because he knew it was true. I don't know if it's always like that or it was just the day, but his breath was really bad. And
that was it?
Yeah. And he just said, "Oh, you're gonna insult me?" And I said, "Well, you started with the insults." And I said, "You messed with the wrong one." And I pointed at him. I said, "I'm gonna get you."
You used to not look at your opponent. Do you remember that in the face-offs?
Yeah.
Now, not only do you look at him, you actually took a step forward, right? Mm-hmm. Why did that change? The philosophy with the stare down?
Every fight's different. Some guys I look at, and some guys I don't. It's just all based on kind of my mood at the time. And some guys I want to let them know that, hey, I'm here. I'm taking you deadly seriously. And,
With him, you felt like it was the right thing to do?
Yeah, I just wanted to let him know.
Does he annoy you?
No, he doesn't annoy me.
Okay.
He doesn't annoy me at all. He is, I don't think he knows what he's getting into at the end of the day. I'm very familiar with training for world championship level fights. I've been doing it for so long. I don't think he knows, I just don't think he knows what he's getting into. There's a whole, for guys like, a lot of these guys, just making it to fight for the title is touchdown. I saw on his Instagram, he took a picture of I think it was like ESPN or something he was at, and it's had his name, Dominick Reyes, in headlights, and he took a picture of that. And it just goes to show me that to him, he's already made it, just to be here, to be able to go to the bar, and everyone wants to buy him a drink, and everyone's like, "Oh, good luck," and everyone's calling him champ, and he's getting all the attention, and same thing with Thiago. Thiago saw his name on the front of the UFC building. He took a picture of it, like, look at me, that's me up there, I did it. You know, you're here at the battlefield now, but you didn't do it. So for a lot of these guys, they just they got nothing to lose, everything to gain, and just being here is a huge opportunity for them. And I'm fighting from a place where I have everything to lose, and I just think our motivations are completely different.
You mentioned only left hand, only left hand. That's all you do. Do you feel like he does nothing that concerns you?
No, he is a very capable athlete. He's strong, he's explosive, he has extreme power on that left side. And since I said that, I'm assuming that he's probably exercised some things on his right, you know, some trick plays that he's prepared for on the right. My job is to be prepared for whatever he has going on. I've fought a lot of versatile fighters who are capable of so much. And so I'll be prepared for the left and the right, and whatever. Do
you feel pressure to finish him because of the criticism after the sound? Do you want to shut everyone up?
I don't feel pressure, but I would like to finish him for sure, for my own satisfaction and to make my coaches proud. And finishes are always nice, you know. But the victory is just as good with me. Like I said, you're not gonna sink every 3-pointer. You know, some days are gonna be just throw a little layup. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just good with the win, with the score.
Let's end on this, and I appreciate the time very much, Jon. I know you're not feeling great today, so...
Yeah, I did not feel good, Ariel.
I appreciate
Only
this.
Only for you, Ariel Helwani.
I appreciate that. Thank you, my man. You know, there's that famous photo from 2011 Toronto with all the champions up there. You know the one, right, where they had the press conference. It was you and Anderson and GSP and Dominick Reyes, and you're the only one. It's amazing. It's 9 years, right?
Still hear me.
And it's amazing, like, if nothing crazy happened in your life, just to be champion for 9 years is absurd, right? In the fight game, that's just a crazy thing. And then when you consider everything that you've been through and that you're still here and still on the top of your game, are there times where you sit back, you're at, you know, at your home in bed at night thinking like, man, I'm a lucky guy because some crazy stuff has happened. I'm still here. I haven't lost. I haven't gotten knocked out. I haven't gotten clipped. You know, you could get clipped. Anyone could get clipped.
Yeah, anybody.
Do you have moments where you're like, man, how did this happen? Like, how have I been able to stay on top for this long? Do you have moments where you talk to yourself like that?
You know, I do, and I always just point it back to God, man. Honestly, man, it's God's grace, and I know everyone's not a believer, and a lot of people think, I wish you just wouldn't talk about God, but it really is God's grace. It really is, man. He has sustained me through so much, through the death of my mother, through I mean, facing a 4-year suspension. Through just my dumb mistakes. He's probably protected me in ways that I don't even know he has. But really, I just point it to God's grace, man. You know, I wear this tattoo on my chest, Philippians 4:13, that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And I genuinely believe that I can do anything. And I'm not surprised that I'm still here. And I believe that I could possibly be here a decade from now.
Wow, you still want to, in your mind, you don't have an end point?
Nah, there'll be an end point. There will be an end point, but I believe I'll go out on top, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a goal, like GSP?
Yeah, I've already won, Ariel.
Right.
You know, at this level, I could retire today, and I've already won.
What do you mean by won?
I've won, man. You know, I'm getting my life together. My kids love me. My old lady loves me. You know, I'm surrounded by people who love me, friends and family. I've already had a successful career, and I just say here today victorious.
It's amazing for a guy who I believe was a janitor, right? And you got into this because you needed to get some money for diapers, right?
Yeah, I was applying to. I was a bouncer actually, making $50 a night, and I was applying to be a janitor because I would have benefits.
Wow.
And right when I was waiting to get the call back, someone wrote me on Twitter, a guy named Gary, a kid that I never met, and he said, hey, my cousin owns an MMA gym in Cortland, New York, which is about 45 minutes away. I didn't have a car, and I was driving my fiance's car to commute over to these practices. I got that phone call on a Saturday night, and I was heading to my first practice that next Monday. The kid changed my life forever. He just planted a seed in my MySpace and changed my life forever.
Why'd he reach out to you? Just like that?
God's grace, man.
Wow. You were not training at all?
not training at all.
About to have a baby, right?
About to have a baby, applying to be a janitor. And
janitor for what building? Do you remember?
I think it was like Lockheed Martin.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this guy writes to you and says...
I had a picture on my MySpace, and I had been weightlifting a little bit, and I had a hat on backwards, and I had some UFC gloves on, and I was posing, you know, being a poser,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And yeah, something in them said, yo, let me see if Jon would be interested. And I took the idea and I ran with it. And that's how God works sometimes.
Why, and how old were you?
I was about 19.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It was crazy, man. It was like one of the best years of my life, man, because I went from a very average thinking person, like just average 19-year-old,
yeah,
to get in I don't like reading, so I literally got on all these TED Talks and on YouTube, and I just started YouTubing videos about self-belief and what does it mean to be confident, and what does it mean to be a winner, and how do you become a winner. And I would watch hours and hours of Tony Robbins and Les Brown and TED Talks, and I like taught myself how to believe in myself and how to think that I was greater than just this kid that was a dropout who, you know, never really had great grades, never really was the starter, never was the captain of a team. I was just always kind of this average person, and overnight I taught myself that I could be great and change myself forever, and I'm forever grateful. I'm never going back.
Wow. Did you have low self-confidence?
I didn't have low self-confidence, no, but I needed to have extraordinary confidence to do what I was getting ready to be doing.
Would that kid have believed that all this would have happened?
I don't think he knew that he was changing my life by giving me an idea.
Yeah, it took a couple of years for you to believe it as well, probably too.
Yeah, I think when I fought Stephan Bonner is when I really dug into the power of the mind and how important it is to look at yourself in a high regard and to believe that first you can. And yeah, that's when I started to fly.
Amazing. Well, keep flying, my man.
Hey, thank you.
I wish you the
and
best.
Never come down, Jesse Owens, right?
That's right.
My
Good
man.
luck.
Sorry about the sweaty hands.
No, me too. Both of us. Thank you, Jon. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Why'd they have to include the part about my sweaty hands? I mean, really. But thank you very much to Jon Jones. Always interesting to sit down. You know, he doesn't sit down often, even doesn't come on this show very often. In fact, there was a period not that long ago where he wasn't talking to me, where he was mad at me because I asked him a question the Friday before UFC 210 when DC was fighting Anthony Rumble Johnson. He was mad at that question. There was a period where we weren't talking, but I appreciate him doing that. He wasn't feeling well. Like I said, there was some doubt whether or not the interview would happen, and that would have been a bummer, but it was great to pick his brain to see where he's at. And I have a few takeaways. One of the bigger ones is it still feels like when you talk to him about himself, when you talk to him about, you know, his issues in the past, his trials and tribulations, the legal issues, all that stuff, it still feels like he's uncomfortable doing that, and that's somewhat normal. He has gotten a lot more comfortable talking about his faults, if you want to call them that, and just being a little more honest about who he is, the drinking, the tradition, as he put it, all that stuff, and I think that will raise some eyebrows. But then when you start talking to him about the other fighters, the Israel Adesanyas of the world, the Dominick Reyes of the world, the Stipe Miocic's of the world, that's when I think the best Jon Jones comes out, because then the alpha male comes out, the cocky, brash, I'm the best ever Jon Jones comes out, and you see the tone change, you see his demeanor change, and I think that's really interesting when you hear him talk that way. Now, will he continue to refrain, you know, of speaking about Adesanya? I have my doubts. There's something special there between them. Now, does it happen soon? I say no. Does it happen in 2020? I think there's a very, very, very long shot of that happening. I don't think it happens in 2020, and Israel himself said 2021. But that would be a massive fight, especially if they do it in the new Raiders Stadium. But as I said to him, the first question, if he is successful on Saturday night, will be about heavyweight. And I know he spoke about heavyweight and said it was a strong possibility, I believe was the term that he used at the press conference prior to 245 in mid-December, but this felt like the first time where he said, I want Stipe next. Remember, he said there was a big fight that he was thinking about. We were all wondering what it was, And I reported myself that it was Stipe, but he's never come out and said it. And this, to me, felt like the first time where he really came out and said it. And so then that leads to this question. Does the UFC want to make that fight? DC is out there, and they are very loyal to DC. And they have told DC that they will try to make that fight. And there's also the Stipe issue out there. His eye, when will he return? If Jon enters that discussion, what do they do with DC? Now, this can all change if Corey Anderson or Jan Blachowicz have a great fight on February 15th, literally 7 days later in New Mexico. I wonder if Jon will go to that fight if he wins against Dominic Reyes. Corey Anderson or Jan Blachowicz have a great performance on February 15th. I think the winner of that fight will put himself in the driver's seat, and that will buy them some time for the Jon Jones step up in competition, step up in weight class. I think everyone wants to see that. I think Jon fighting light heavyweights forever is great and all, and it's nice to see someone be dominant, and I'm a big proponent of that. To think that this guy has been doing this for 9 years and is still a champion, of course, was stripped multiple times, but has still remained on top, is pretty remarkable. But you want to see him test himself, like we saw DC move up, like we saw Amanda Nunes move up, like, you know, GSP moved up, etc. And so I want to see him test himself. Don't know if I necessarily want to see him cut the line as far as DC is concerned. And then you start to get into the Ngannous and the Rosenstrikes, and you start to get into the Curtis Blades of the world. So it's going to be really interesting. But that fight at some point, I would love to see. I would love to see Jon Jones versus Stipe. I'd love to see Jon fight for the heavyweight title at some point in time. I think that's going to be very, very interesting to see how it all plays out. Of course, Dominic Reyes wins on Saturday. Everything changes. There's no doubt about that. But that's going to be interesting development as like the second that fight is over. If he wins, what happens? I think that's what we'll be talking about this Monday, or excuse me, a week from today, if Jon wins. One other thing I just wanted to quickly mention about my time at Jackson Wink. While I was waiting for Jon, I happened to run into Phil Baroni, who is a legend of this sport and has been around forever, the New York badass himself. At Jackson Wink, they actually have dorms at the gym, and it's usually for up-and-coming fighters, amateurs, people who are trying to make a name for themselves. You don't usually see veterans of the game, and I happened to run into Phil, and without trying to reveal too much, he is going through some tough times. There's a photo that we took together. It was nice to catch up with him. And, he's still trying to figure out his path, is still considering fighting and is training and is active at the gym and is showing up to all the classes. But I had no idea he was at Jackson Wink. He had never been there before. He's been all over the place, Vegas, San Jose, Thailand. Had no idea he was there. And initially, I felt bad to see him in the dorms with these up-and-coming fighters. And I just want to say I wish Phil the best, and I hope that he can get back on track and, figure out what life is like after fighting, and hope that he can find some happiness in all of that, because, he's one of the great characters in our sport, and I wish him nothing but the best. So there's my conversation with Jon Jones. Of course, we shall talk about what he said there probably all week long. It'll be the main talking points leading up to the fight on Saturday. I am looking forward to it, and in a matter of moments, we are going to be joined by the man he will be facing on Saturday night, Dominic Reyes. So that is a nice treat. But before we get to Mr. Dominic Reyes, let me tell you about our good friends over at Ancestry. Look at this music. Yeah. And of course, as I said, ooh, it's nice music here. Makes me want to do a little... Is this like some Miami-inspired music because of the Super Bowl? Oh, Isabel, well done. Makes me want to dance like that halftime show. Wow, everyone's so excited about that halftime show. Anyway, there are many paths to finding your family story. Whichever way you choose, tracing your family generations back with a family tree or uncovering your ethnicity with Ancestry DNA, it's easy to get started with our good friends over at Ancestry. An Ancestry DNA test tells you where your ancestors are from, and Ancestry's billions of records and millions of family trees let you discover their personal stories. All you have to do is get a little tube in the mail, you spit in it, you send it off, and voila, you know everything as you take a look at our slate of coverage. My radio show there? I don't see it. Well, that's Wednesday, Friday. Okay, we'll see in a moment. In any event, you could find an infamous relative, or perhaps a photo of your great-grandma as a little girl. Whatever you find, it's sure to change the whole way you look at your family history and yourself. After all, the story of your family is the story of you. Ancestry DNA can reveal ethnic origins and provide historical detail that bring unique family stories to life. Radio show. Oh, there it is. Radio show, 4 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, guys. In particular, Michael Wansover back there. Anyway, Ancestry DNA doesn't just tell you which countries you're from, but also can pinpoint the specific regions within them, giving you insightful geographic detail about your history. Trace the past of your recent ancestors and learn how and why your family moved from place to place around the world. No other DNA tests deliver such a unique interactive experience. It's easy to start making discoveries with Ancestry. Grab an Ancestry DNA kit and start a free trial to amplify your discoveries. Start exploring your family story today. Head to my URL at ancestry.com/MMA. That's ancestry.com/MMA to get your Ancestry DNA kit and start your free trial today. That's ancestry.com/MMA. Once again, ancestry.com/MMA. Support them because they support us. One other thing about Jon Jones that I wanted to mention. I noticed in the comments yesterday, a lot of people saying, same old, same old, same old, same old. We've heard this all before. And I don't think Jon in particular should be surprised about all of this. He has to go a very long time. That's why I keep asking about the 10 years. He has to go a long time without messing up, without getting in legal trouble, without getting in hot water before people start to view him as one of the greats and not one of the greats but. And let's be honest, I said that the front half of 2019 was relatively drama-free for him, but in the back half, he did have the issue at the Gentlemen's Club where eventually he pleaded no contest. And that was back in October when he pleaded no contest, when that news came out. That's 3.5 or so months ago. He really needs to try, I think, in order to stop having all this talk about him, not being real and not believing what he has to say. He's got to try to go 2020 drama-free, stay out of trouble, stay on the straight and narrow, and then I think the fans will start. The fans can be very forgiving, but right now they're not, and I don't think he should be surprised by that. I know a lot of fans tell me he limits the comments on his Instagram and all this stuff. These are things that are going to happen when you get in trouble, and he has to recognize that, and I think he does, and I think part of his maturation process is to stop caring about what people say. But when things are fresh, you are going to hear that stuff, and so it's going to be interesting to see how he continues to deal with that and whether or not he starts to understand that in order for his legacy to be as special as he wants it to be, he has to stay out of trouble. Anyway, another note, since we're talking about heavyweights, new episode of Detail with Daniel Cormier comes out tonight on ESPN+. He breaks down all things Conor McGregor. So check that out tonight, ESPN+, the platform Chael and I built. ESPN+, our hands, off our shoulders. You know the story. Anyway, Conor McGregor 246 post-fight breakdown from Daniel Cormier. Check it out on ESPN+. Now, we're going to be joined by Dominick Reyes. He meets Jon Jones Saturday night, UFC 247. The last time we had Dominick Reyes on the show, this is what he said. Can I just ask, because you're tickling my fancy here, how would you beat Jon Jones? What's the path? Do you see it?
I see the path. I'm gonna knock him out.
Oh my. He's never been stopped before. He's never really been beaten.
Neither have I.
That's a good point. So you say right here and now, October 21st, 2019, you will knock out Jon Jones if you fight him.
Absolutely. I will knock out Jon Jones. When we fight, when he stops hiding behind his management, I will knock him out.
And that was 3.5 months ago. This Saturday, Dominick Reyes gets an opportunity to prove that point, to make good on that prediction. He meets Jon Jones, and he's kind enough to join us right now via the magic of Skype. Dominick, my man, how are you?
What's up, Ariel?
Where are you now?
I'm in Houston right now.
So you are in Houston, site of Saturday night's fight. Can you describe 5 days before the biggest fight of your life, a moment that can change your life forever? You could be the first man to defeat Jon Jones, and if you do it the way in which you predicted 3.5 months ago, everything changes for you. Can you describe how you are feeling? What's going on here? What's going on here?
My body's primed and ready to go. My mind is sharper than ever. I'm just ready to step in the cage, man. There's not much else left for me to say. I just got to do what I got to do and take this man out.
Any nerves?
I mean, there's always nerves. It's a fight, It's not something casual. It's a big athletic competition, and I just focus those nerves, laser focus them into something positive, which is my power, my strength. Taking them out.
I feel like this is a silly question, but I'll still ask it. Do you still feel like you are going to knock him out on Saturday?
I do. I really do. I very much do. I look forward to seeing him on his back.
Where does that confidence come from for a guy who's hardly been hit or rocked? Why do you feel like you're not just going to win, but you're going to knock him out?
Just feel it, man. It's one of those things you can't really explain. It's had many visions of this fight. Keeps going the same way. He's looking down. I'm looking down on him. He's on his back. It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. I don't really make predictions that often, but I feel it, man. I said I was going to knock out Weidman. I felt that. I feel the same way about this guy.
He mentioned, I don't know if you saw the interview that we aired earlier, but he mentioned that, he saw you post stuff of like your name at SportsCenter, and it seems like you're just happy to be there. Like, this is all new to you. The bright lights, oh, this is great, but he's been there time and again. He's been there for 9 years. Is there a part of you that feel like this is like all very new and, the moment is big, and is there any worry that the moment will be too big? Like, how do you respond to when he says things like that about you taking those pictures and being excited about getting this kind of shine?
Listen, man, I haven't lost the ability to feel. There's milestones in our lives that we can be proud of. I don't have to be too cool to take a picture of something big like that. It's very, very exciting. This doesn't happen every day. For him, maybe he's downplayed, all the awesome things that have happened in his life, but not me, man. I enjoy my life. I enjoy the moments, and I'm not gonna sit here and be, oh, I'm too cool to take a photo of my ESPN set, But that's just him. He lives his life how he's gonna live it. He judges people. He's very judgmental, very kind of callous towards the world. I'm happy. I enjoy my life, and yeah, that's my response to that.
Your demeanor is a lot different than the last time you were on. Of course, last time you were on, you were coming off the Weidman win. You were happy. The fight is over. There's a relief. There's celebration, all that stuff. But like, you're like a stone cold, like you're just like very focused right now. I've not seen you like this before. Is this common for you on the Monday before the fight? Like it's almost like a no nonsense Dominic Reyes right now.
Yeah, man. It's the calm before the storm. I'm very, very focused. I know exactly what I need to do. Just put me in there, man. Let me go.
You see his tweets about you this morning?
I did. I woke up to it. I kind of laughed. This guy, man. He doesn't stop. He's freaking bipolar or something, man. My response to that is, man, like he tweeted something about being like confident in yourself or something like that, and I was like, hey, man. I believe in myself. What do you want me to do? Like, there's no pleasing you. Just honestly, man, I don't know. I think he's trying to make something in his head or something. I don't know what he's doing, man. I don't really give a shit. It doesn't change anything. I mean, he can say what he wants. He could try to belittle me. He could try to come at my athletic background and things like this. But it doesn't matter. None of that matters. I don't see why. I don't know. I just don't know. Doesn't matter.
One of the things he tweeted about you was beating up on Kansas got him convinced he's a better athlete than most of the world. If he was so badass, he would have won the California State Wrestling Championships. He would have went Division I. He would have at least made a practice squad for the NFL. This man is delusional. So he knows your history, right? He knows your background.
Oh, this guy, he's in love with me, man. I mean, he studied every aspect of my entire life, and he thinks he knows me. That's why I laugh, because he honestly believes he knows me as a man and as a human being, and he has no idea. Like, it's pretty amusing. But to say I've beat up Cans, that's just disrespectful to the sport in general and the guys he's fought. And I thought him and Weidman were friends. So I mean, that's really messed up. You're gonna go out here and disrespect everybody in the division. That's cool, man. I mean, it's gonna make you, real likable. A lot of guys, your legacy is gonna be, great. I mean, that's why he's not ever gonna be, on the Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali level. No matter how many wins he gets, no matter how many titles he wins, he can't get out of his own way, man. He's just not a good person.
Do you feel like he respects you? Or do you feel like he's just kind of looking, he's being asked about heavyweight and he has those plans. And to his credit, when I did try to press him on the heavyweight stuff, he just said, he said Dominic Reyes is next. But he was talking about Stipe and moving up and all that stuff. Do you feel like he just kind of views you as another guy? Or do you think he really, truly respects you and fears you?
He has no choice. he doesn't have a choice. He has to respect me. He knows that. He's not dumb. He knows if he doesn't respect me, he 100% will be sleeping. I mean, this isn't a very forgiving sport. I mean, he's had a lot of title fights. He's not stupid. So, I mean, he has no choice but to respect me. Does he want to respect me? No, absolutely not. He doesn't want to respect me, but he has to. So there's that. I mean, regardless of if he does or he doesn't, I'm still coming with the heat, man.
Do you subscribe to the notion that he has trouble against taller opponents?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's almost like a fight-to-fight deal with this guy. Either, he'll either show up or he won't. I mean, it's like if he's having turmoil in his life or not. I don't know if it has to do with height or not or whatever, but I don't know. I don't think it matters. Like I said, all that matters is Saturday night. Everything before means nothing. Both our past mean zero. We're here. It's fight week. I'm here. I'm ready to rumble, man. It's nothing else matters. It's Saturday night. That's all that matters.
So you will most likely square off at least a couple of times this week, maybe at Media Day on Thursday, of course, the ceremonial face-offs. But you did get a chance to square off with him in December in Las Vegas. What did you make of his whole demeanor at that press conference? The way he was talking about you, towards you, the face-off when he got up in your face. What did you take away from that?
I don't know, man. It was interesting. It was very interesting. I said earlier in the week that I thought it was going to be different. I thought he was going to be, I guess I thought he was going to be more, I don't know, professional, I guess you would say. But he's a very emotional kind of guy. His emotions and his ego controls his whole life. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I wish it was a little bit shocking. I didn't expect his ego to be that strong in his life, but it makes sense for who he is.
You didn't expect him to come at you like that? You didn't think he would try to, get under your skin or talk smack or anything like that? You thought he would be 100% cordial towards you?
No, I knew he wouldn't be cordial. I mean, he's never cordial. He does little jabs. I kind of knew he was going to do what he was going to do, but not. It was just weird. The way he approached it was just weird. I can't really explain these things. Everybody wants me to explain these feelings and these things.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it. It's just I'm pretty in tune with the universe. I'm pretty in tune with energies and things like this. And I don't know, man. It didn't feel like he didn't feel like some kind of like unstoppable force, like this Jon Jones dude, like monster dude. He just felt like a guy. Just a guy, man. Like, that's all I could really say.
So in a weird way, that whole experience, the exchange, the face-off, all that actually gave you more confidence? After experiencing his energy, you actually left feeling better about the fight?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting.
Every time it's crazy. Every time I hear this guy talk, I feel better about the fight. It's ridiculous.
Why is that?
Because, man, like I said, he's controlled by his ego and his emotions. And everything he says is it's like trying to convince himself. He's trying to convince the world that he's this guy that he's not. Like, everything he does is to try to prove that he's someone that he's not. It's really weird, man. It's like like I said, it's like he's bipolar or something. There's two sides to this dude, and he's constantly battling the other side, and it's crazy. It's just crazy.
One thing that he mentioned a couple times in the press conference was all you have is a left hand, straight left hand, straight left. That's all you got. And I was wondering if that was actually a good thing for you that he brought that up. Like, I would imagine you don't believe that all you have is the left hand, but then maybe are you saying to yourself, oh, okay, so now I'm just going to work on something else and he won't see it coming? Or do you think he's playing tricks on you and is trying to get you to go the opposite way and not use your left hand? Like, how did you actually process him continuing to talk about just your left hand?
Yeah, exactly like you're saying. If he wants to believe I just have a left hand, then please do that. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think what happens is I think Jon just tries to belittle. He just tries to constantly belittle his opponents. He tries to make them feel lesser than him by leaps and bounds. Like his whole thing is like, you're lesser than me. You're not better than me. I'm better than you. You're nothing. I'm everything. I'm Jon Jones. You're nothing. Like, that's constantly doing that. All you have is this. Oh, you're this. Blah blah blah. I mean, honestly, I feel like if I I believed in a different God, I didn't believe in Jesus Christ, he would try to come at that too. I'm gonna be honest with you with that. Like everything about this guy, like if you're not on that, like you don't agree with me in everything, or you're not saying I'm the best ever and you should be scared. Why aren't you scared? Like it's a constant like him like trying to tell you how you should feel about him and trying to belittle you. It's really crazy, man.
And so here we are, you know, he's getting ready to fight you, and this is a big fight and all that stuff. And you know, anytime he fights, I think it's special. He's on the verge of making history. If he wins this fight, he'll have more victories in a title fight than anyone in UFC. However, there are some people, especially after the last fight against Thiago Santos, who believe he's slowing down, who believe that he's not, you know, going for the finish as much as possible, and he's just trying to take, you know, the safe way. He was very much criticized after that Santos fight. Do you believe that he is slowing down? Do you believe that he is starting to expose himself, that he's not as dominant as he once was?
No, I think it's pretty much the same guy, man. I don't think he's like exposing himself. It's just different opponents. I mean, he's getting guys that actually move now. I mean, it's just the game's changing, and to have that like complete dominance it's like it's changed. The game's changed. I think we're getting better. The competition's getting better, and he's just making excuses for why he's not getting finishes and things like this. But to be honest with you, I hope I get, you know, the best version of Jon Jones. You know, I don't want any excuses from this guy either. Oh, I wasn't at my best. I'm slowing down. Blah blah blah. Like, nah, man. I want you to come out guns blazing. I want you to be in the best athletic shape of your life. I want you to be, you know, I want the best Jon Jones. I'm not doing this to fight a weakened Jon Jones. I'm doing this to fight the best Jon Jones there is. You know, I want to be the best. So I want to fight the best. And if he's not at his best, then like it's a disservice to myself. Like, I'm not scared of this guy. One ounce. Like I want to see your best, buddy.
Your spot reminds me a lot of Chris Weidman when he fought Anderson Silva for the first time, UFC 162, many moons ago. Undefeated, but a lot of people didn't know who he was. Anderson was the king, and then he shocks the world. And Chris said leading up to that fight, I'm planning for 2 straight fights against Anderson. We're going to fight him this time. We're going to beat him, and then there'll be an immediate rematch. Do you view this the same way? Like, do you think, all right, this is the beginning of 2 straight fights against Jon Jones. I'm going to knock him out, and then we're going to have to rematch because he's been champion for so long?
Well, yes, I do believe that. And it's kind of crazy how this all worked out, right? Like, Weidman knocked out Silva. You know, beat him twice. It was amazing for him. And then I take out Weidman. You know, I kind of took the juice. I got the juice right now, man. I got it. I'm ready to go. Like that power that once was is now in my hands, and it's my time.
You mentioned late last week that Kobe Bryant was your favorite athlete growing up. You weren't a big sports fan or didn't idolize a lot of athletes, but that was your guy. And of course, everyone's still like, it still feels surreal to me that that he's no longer with us, and what happened on Sunday of last week with his daughter and the 7 other people who were in that helicopter. It's absolutely mind-numbing. And because he meant so much to you, and because he had the Mamba mentality, and because he overcame a lot throughout his career, in a weird way, have you taken what has happened to him and used that as inspiration? Are you almost doing this with that mentality in mind? Are you doing this for him? How are you using the heartbreak of what happened to him 8 days ago and internalizing that going into this fight?
Yeah, I mean, that's it, man. I mean, it kind of reignited, you know, like everything, like the whole Mamba mentality, like where he came from, like what he taught me over the years. I kind of got away from it. I kind of forgot about it in a sense, but I lived my life that way. It became a part of me. And now it all got reignited, like right back on it. Like I can't explain it. It's like everything happens for a reason, man. The universe works in really weird ways. God works in really weird ways, man. And it just feels like it's all lining up, man. It's all lining up. There's really no words for it, man. I just feel it. I feel it all around me. I feel it within me. I feel so much stronger. I feel mentally like unshakable. Like there's nothing that can mess with me right now. all this like Jon stuff and all that. I just find it funny, like, that he's resorting to all these cheap tactics. You know, it's like, bro, we're gonna fight regardless. Like, you don't need to hype yourself up. You don't need to try to get an emotional response. I mean, maybe you do for you, but it's deep within me, and I'm like, I feel like a completely new man. I'm completely focused, very, very focused, and see what happens.
How was it?
I don't know what's gonna happen, but I promise all of you, I'm bringing everything I have, my entire being. I'm not gonna settle for anything less.
By the way, I was just curious because after that media scrum, I believe you went to Staples Center, right? And you saw some of the memorials. What was that like? And how did you feel after you were in the midst of all of that?
It was incredibly powerful. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, the amount of support and love and the amount of people he touched, you know, it's truly amazing, you know, and it definitely was something that hurt, you know, the entire city of Los Angeles and, you know, many people around the world. But you could feel the power, like you're just walking around that place and you feel every step you take, like it's like you could feel his energy there. It was really, really powerful.
And now Apple Valley is getting brought into all of this, right? It's become part of the story as well. I feel like you want to represent Apple Valley, you know, in addition to everything else, because it's become part of the trash talk too. This athlete from Apple Valley, how dare he think that he could take me down?
Yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, like I said, he's just out here disrespecting everyone and everything, you know, with no, like, there's a lot of really good people that live out in Apple Valley, you know, and you're gonna sit here and just disrespect people and where we come from and what we do. Like, I'm not trashing, you know, your upbringing, where you came from, and, you know, your failed attempts at whatever you did, you know, like, it's cheap, man. It's real cheap, and it's whatever, man. If you want to resort to that, and like I said, man, that's why you'll never truly be great.
Last thing, last time you were on, you said knockout. This time, you want to give us a round?
Nah, man, I'm gonna win. I'm not even gonna say knockout anymore. My hand's gonna raised. My hand's gonna be raised. Period. Like, I don't care how I do it. I don't care how God decides for me to get this done. I'm getting it done though. Hand raised.
All right, I can't wait. Thanks for doing this, Dominic. I know it's very busy before the fight. 5 days out, UFC 247, biggest fight of your life. I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm looking forward to the fight. And I wish you nothing but the best on Saturday night.
Thank you so much, Ariel. Have a great day, man.
Same to you. Wow. Imagine that. Imagine 7 days from right now, we're living in a world where Dominick Reyes knocks out Jon Jones and is the new champion. Everyone will just absolutely lose their minds, right? I mean, what a moment. That would be one of the greatest moments in UFC history, one of the most memorable moments in UFC history. And this man is 5 days away from that. By the way, one thing I forgot to mention, on the back end of the Jones interview, I did speak to a source close to Stipe Miocic, and they are hoping that he'll be cleared late February, early March, and then if he is cleared, then he'll return in July, August, September. So that's the timeline there. I know there's some concern about his eye, but that's the latest as far as Stipe is concerned. So we go from Dominick Reyes to a man who fought Jon Jones around 11 months ago. And that was a hard-fought battle. Unfortunately, he lost that fight, came back 3 months later, fought in Sweden against Sweden's own Alexander Gustafsson. There was a lot of talk about whether or not it was too soon, about whether or not, you know, he wasn't feeling it. Should he be in there? Should they have asked him? Should they have waited a little longer? All that stuff and more. In the end, he beat Alexander Gustafsson, and then he took the rest of the year off. Well, he's back April 25th. Lincoln, Nebraska, his home state, against Glover Teixeira, former title contender. Huge fight for Anthony Smith. He's also going to be a part of our coverage this weekend in Houston at UFC 247. Let's say hello now to Anthony Smith. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Do I see Anthony? Oh.
There we go.
Do you see me? Oh, there he is.
I do. Yeah, I got you.
It's good to see you again, my man.
Good to see you. How you been?
I've been good, and I just want to make note of this right off the top. I'm a man of my word, because the last time you were on the show, Anthony, in June, you were in your car. You were going to get your hand checked out. You had just beaten Alexander Gustafsson, And I made you this promise. I don't know if you remember this, but I want to remind the world that I'm a man of my word. Here's a little reminder. You're not going to hear from me for at least 6 months, okay? Watch me break that promise in like 2 months when you're booked for another fight. But for now, I'm going to leave you alone. Enjoy your time off. And by the way, congrats on the upcoming wedding. I didn't realize that you actually weren't married yet. So it's amazing. Everything is backwards, and I love it. It's a beautiful thing. So congrats. Enjoy the time off.
Thanks a lot, Ariel. Yeah, don't call me. You
Okay.
can text, though.
Okay, fair. Deal. Am I a man of my word? I didn't bother you. We texted a couple times, but I never asked you back on.
Yeah.
You know, here we are, I think even 8 months later. How about that?
Yeah, you kept your word. We texted back and forth, and I guess it's time to get back to work, huh?
It is time. So you're going to be a part of our coverage this weekend in Houston. That's exciting. You've been doing great stuff on television. I've told you that via text, and I'm also looking forward to this fight on April 25th. But first, I just want to ask about you personally. What was the back end of the year like for you? Did you really feel like you needed that break? Did it feel like, it was just getting to be a lot? It was a very active time for you. And now do you feel a little better after having that long break?
Yeah, I feel a lot better. I kind of started feeling like I was in a tornado, and I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. It was every fight I got out of, I was walking right into another one. And you can't say the things that I say and then not stand by your word. I said I'll fight anybody that they put in front of me, as long as I'm healthy. And I stuck to that. I've always stuck to my word, and I took those fights. Maybe the broken hand was a blessing in disguise. It was a big struggle to get through the recovery through all that, but I got that itching feeling to fight again. It's now I get to fight again, and I don't have to. So I'm excited to get back and do what I do best. I'm having a really good time doing the analyst stuff and breaking fights down and I guess showing that part of who I am. But I'm missing fighting, and I think that's what I needed. I think I needed to miss being in there.
When did you start to get the itch again?
Probably when the weather started to get cold, and I was running out of stuff to do outside, and the kids got back in school, and I started getting really bored, and I don't know, I didn't have anything else to do. I wasn't occupied with all the stuff that me and my wife and my family do, and that's when I really started to miss it again.
Did you have surgery on your hand?
Yeah, I had two.
Two? Why two?
The first one failed. I went into like my 6-week checkup after the first surgery, and the plate was broken and the bone had shifted back again. I kind of had a pretty good idea that there was something wrong with it, probably 2 or 3 weeks before that. But if I'm being very honest with you, I knew that there was something wrong, and I didn't really care. I had trips planned. I went to the Black Hills. And we just took we took the bus all over the country and rode the Razor and the four-wheelers, and I didn't have time to deal with it. At least I didn't have the brain space to deal with that right then. So I went to my checkup. The bone was broken again, so they went back in. They took the plate off. They drilled one hole in my femur, one in my shin, and then took out the spongy bone material to use for bone graft in my hand, and then they put another plate on the side of it instead of on the top, because there's so many large holes that sorry, someone's knocking at my door.
Do you need to get it?
There's so many. Nah.
All right.
And there's just so many holes, so they had to put it on the side and then fill the holes in the bone with the spongy bone for my leg. So that was a rough one. Then I couldn't close my hand.
Whoa. Which one?
Probably 2 months. My left hand.
Okay.
You didn't hear this story?
No.
I almost cut my finger off.
What?
Yeah, we were going to amputate my pointer finger because all the scar tissue was grabbing onto the ligament and not allowing it to close and slide back and forth. So the idea was that if we amputated the finger and then screwed those ligaments to that bone after it healed, that I could still use the other 3 fingers the other 3 fingers in my thumb to grapple, and there would still technically be a knuckle there, so I could still punch.
What?
So,
this would have been voluntary amputation?
Yeah, yeah, because I couldn't close it. The scar tissue was building up faster than they could remove it.
Wow. So then what happened?
Some crazy old lady did this this different type of therapy where they attached electricity to my wrist and my forearm and moved it around and was able to catch the muscle that closes the hand. And really, she just crushed through the scar tissue. So once she put electricity to it, it forced my hand closed, and I couldn't, because the bone was still healing. And by forcefully closing it, you're putting a lot of tension on that break. And I couldn't close it myself because I didn't have the strength. So as I'm not moving it, excuse me, as I'm not moving it, the scar tissue just continues to build and build and build. So by attaching electricity to it, it's essentially me closing my own hand without someone else doing it with all that tension on the break. So then once we tore through all the scar tissue that first time, then we just did that every single day until I was able to get the movement back in it, and now it's good.
Whoa. And when was that? Like, how long did it take for it to get to where it feels now?
I've probably been able to close it for probably 2 months now.
Okay. And how does it feel? Like, does it feel 100% or will it never feel that good?
I mean, I think it's as good as it's going to get.
What would you say it's at now?
Like strength and my ability to use it is at 100%, but my hands are just messes anyways. I got lots of scar tissue, lots of arthritis. I've just had lots of hand surgery, so it's sore in the morning, and the cold weather in Nebraska doesn't help at all. So once it gets moving though, it loosens up and feels all right.
Was there any thought that maybe you'd never fight again?
Well, that's why we were going to amputate the finger, because if I can't close it, then I can't really fight with an open hand. So
and you would rather amputate the finger than stop fighting?
Yeah.
That is wild. Which finger again? You said the middle one?
My pointer finger.
Pointer finger is this?
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that.
And
you got that nasty scar right there.
Oh yeah. And you
gnarly, right? But look at that. We got a fist now.
Look at you.
Time to swing them things.
Yes. And any like you had come to the conclusion you were at peace with the idea of amputating your finger.
Yeah, I was ready to go. But my wife and Heather and Taylor from the UFC wanted to explore other options first. So that crazy lady saved my finger for sure. But I was ready just to say screw it all. I'm sick of all this, like this rehab stuff and scraping the scar tissue out of it and like continually opening my hand up to get the scar tissue out. I was just over it. I'm just ready to get back to fighting. And cutting my finger off at that time was the fastest way.
Wow. And is she a doctor? This quote unquote crazy lady?
Well, she's a physical therapist.
Oh, okay. All right. So, okay. She's not some lady that you saw on the street or something.
No.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So now you're good and you get this fight and you get in your home state. This is a big deal. Like they're building this whole show around you.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
What was your reaction when you found out that they were going to come to Nebraska with you headlining?
Well, I knew that. I mean, I knew well before.
Well, I know, but when you initially found out,
like, at first I didn't believe them. I have a really good relationship with the UFC, and I think that that's just my willingness to stick to my word and do the hard job when other people don't want to do it. So they kind of asked what my bucket list was.
Wow.
For fighting, and one of them was to headline an event in Nebraska. And obviously that's probably the easier one out of the bucket list that I gave them. So, yeah. And then, so they started working on it and here we are, it's kind of surreal. It kind of doesn't feel real yet.
Wow. By the way, they don't ask a lot of fighters what their bucket list items are. I mean, that is an indication that they like you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're checking off the easiest one. That's for sure.
Yeah. I would imagine title fights and all that stuff are on there as well. But to fight in Nebraska now, you live in Omaha, correct?
Yeah.
How far is that from Lincoln?
From downtown to downtown, it's about an hour.
Oh.
I kind of live on the outskirts of Omaha. So from my house to that arena is about 35 minutes.
Okay. Wow. That's nothing. This is incredible. What a treat. Now, will you train in Denver for this, or will you stay home?
Yeah, I'm still gonna train in Denver.
Okay.
I'm doing a much longer camp than I typically do, so there's more of my camp is going to be here. So I have like, I think 3 or 4 weeks of it is scheduled here.
Okay. Now, be honest with me. Leading up to the fight against Gustafsson, I made a whole big thing about how, it was too soon, and you said you weren't into it and all that, and I was concerned. I mean, it was coming from a very genuine place. And then, of course, you shut me up and everyone. Not to say that I thought you were going to lose, but going into the fight, I was a little bit concerned for your well-being. I mean, it's just a lot to ask someone coming off a fight like that against Jon Jones, and you proved us all wrong. You performed incredibly against Gustafsson in Sweden, of all places. Now, going back, several months removed, what were you feeling going into that fight? What was that like? Was it different than some of your other fights? Do you concede that maybe it was a little too soon, even though it all worked out and you won the fight? Was it a little too soon in the end?
I'll say this: the first 4 weeks of training camp, I spent asking myself, "What the hell are you doing? Like, why are you part of me knew that I needed it, but the other half was like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, why am I doing this again?" And then that wore off probably the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then that wore off, and then I just never got excited about it. But I think that was a good thing. I went in, I honestly went into that fight not really caring whether I won or lost. And I know that it sounds like a soundbite, like people probably think I'm lying, but I honestly didn't care what the result was. It was really about what I was going to be able to do when I was in there. I just felt so awful about myself and awful about my performance versus Jon that I just wanted to fight. I just wanted to go out, and that's why I fought so awful against Gus, because I didn't care if I won. I just wanted to swing hammers, and I just wanted to punch shit. And you can't do that in day-to-day life. You can't do that to your training partners. You can't just be a psychopath and just take it out on someone else in regular day life. And that's what I needed to do. I just needed to take it out on someone, and I didn't care if he beat me. I didn't care if he caught me crashing in. I didn't care. I just wanted to just punch him as many times as I could, anywhere I could.
Wow, and it worked. Now, when's the last time you saw the Jon Jones fight?
Mine?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a long time. I probably watched it once during the camp for Gus, but I haven't watched it since then.
Do you ever think about the knee or no?
No.
We're gonna get into that.
Funny. I was picking up my wife's car from the shop today, and the owner said, "Hey, how about next time you take an illegal shot in a title fight, you go ahead and take the win."
Yes, I like this man.
I was like, nah, man, I can't do that. So, then he's like, well, how much money do you think that cost you? I was like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, come on, man. I would not ask that question, but I like where his head is at. So could I ask you, I mean, you look at this fight, we just had Dominick Reyes on, very confident, says he's going to beat him, says he's going to knock him out, all this stuff. Do you think Dominick Reyes can pull this off?
I watched the interview with Jon, and he said something that is 100% true. Dominick Reyes has no idea what he's getting into. And it's not even the X's and the O's. There's so much more to fighting Jon Jones that I learned now, but would have been pretty helpful before the fight. And there's a lot of things that guys don't talk about, because I think some people are afraid that it's going to make you look like a pansy or something, like you're not man enough to handle it. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into fighting Jon Jones, and it's Monday of fight week, and Dominick is about to find that out.
Like what? Like what do you wish you knew about fighting him?
All right, I'll just be honest.
Please.
All the people that treat you so well the week of a fight, and the people that like you feel like are your friends, it's very different when you're fighting Jon Jones and you go into the fight week. It's not, usually fight weeks are pretty relaxing for the most part. Like, you got lots of media and stuff, and it's not like I've never been in a main event before I fought Jon Jones. It's not like I'm not used to that, but he's very much the favorite, and he messes with your schedule. He just messes with you the whole time, and by the time you get to the fight, you're just mentally exhausted. It's a mind game. Everything that Dominic was talking about in his interview before I came on, it rings so true, but it's not. Like, I know he feels like that, but he feels like that because Jon wants him to.
Interesting.
Jon Jones. Well, and I think that you can attest to this, and I don't know if you will on air, but Jon Jones never says anything that isn't 100% calculated before it comes out of his mouth. Everything he says, there's a reason behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was just talking about that before, about, you know, when he talks about himself and in his mistakes and things like that, you can tell he's thinking, he's talking, you're not quite sure what's real, what's not. And then when he talks about, like, you guys, the opponents, that's when the real Jon comes out, the alpha male, right? And you could tell his guard is down. He's just talking as this cocky guy who thinks he's the best, and that's fine. That's who he is. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying there.
So it's just down to the little thing. Like, he looks way further ahead than you expect. Like, you're expecting that you're just getting in a, you know, like Chael says, a fist fight on a Saturday night. and Jon's competing with you from the second the fight is announced. I mean, he's digging into your life. I mean, look at this. Did Jon say my name one time during that interview?
Off the top of my head, I don't believe so. No. Yeah, I mean, you would remember. No.
No, that's on purpose.
Why?
I don't know. I'm not saying that I understand why he does.
Okay.
He does, but yeah, but he like it doesn't matter what he's tweeting about, what he's talking about. He won't. And I don't know if that's out of a respect thing, because I didn't trash him like everyone likes to do, or what it is. But there's a reason behind every single thing that Jon does, and Dominic's going to find out. Like, his schedule is going to get messed with. His training times are going to get messed with. His media stuff's going to get messed with. You know, like the side-by-side ESPN deals are going to get messed with. It's just how he does it. He's late. You're always on Jon's time. It's not just a typical fight week. So, and that's before you even have to deal with the X's and the O's that he brings in the fight.
In other words, I mean, he has been called a sociopath. You believe he's a sociopath? Is that what you're saying?
No, I wouldn't say that. You know, I'm no doctor or anything. I just he's strange. You know, like, even Dominic talking about the square offs, it's odd. It's odd, and whatever you think you get from it, that's exactly what he wants.
Wow, fascinating.
Like, sometimes he looks at you, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he's 6'6", sometimes he's closer to your height. It's odd.
Wow.
Look at the pictures.
Yeah.
Look at the pictures of us at our first square off. He's looking down at me. He's like 2 inches taller than me. And then when we face off in the octagon, we're like eye to eye.
Wow.
It's
unlike anyone, stuff, right?
Yeah, it's different. You know, like, the first time I square off with him, I'm looking up at him like, holy hell, like, I didn't realize he was that tall. And then the next time I see him, we're like eye to eye. You know, and one time his chest is puffed up and he's confident and he's looking down at you like you're lesser than him. And then sometimes he won't look at you. Like, I don't think that you can get anything from Jon because he gives you so many different looks. It's a waste of time and brain energy to even try.
One last thing I wanted to ask you about was, he's talked about, you know, Dominic taking pictures of the Sports Center set with his name on it and all that stuff. Do you get the sense from Dominic that the moment is too big for him, that he's just happy to be there? Do you see that? Did you experience that?
No, I don't think that it's. I wouldn't hang my hat on that. You know, I think it's just a young kid that hasn't been in the sport very long, and made it to heights that he probably didn't see at the beginning. You know, I think he's just proud. I'm not the biggest, you know, poster on social media. You know,
yeah.
I don't post random stuff, so that's not really my style. But it wasn't because I wasn't proud of myself for getting there, and I think that that's okay. You know, Jon says things sometimes that he just wants it to bother you. You know, and you know, he said a couple things to me that have stuck with me still to this day, that bother me or motivate me or whatever. So I think he's just trying to bother Reyes.
Can I get a prediction, or are you saving that for this weekend?
Well, no, I've already put it out there. I think Dominic has the power in his hands to knock anybody out, but it's getting to getting to Jon is going to be the problem. You know, I don't see. I see a lot of things that Reyes does well. I just don't know. You know, we can get into it more this weekend. I just don't know if he can beat Jon over 25 minutes.
Okay. So in the end, you're going with Jon.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back, Anthony. I missed you. This has been great.
Crazy, right?
Man, this has been great. You gave us a little taste there. And again, you'll be a part of our coverage, which is great. I'm looking forward to working with you. You do a phenomenal job, and you've really come into your own in a very short amount of time on television in those spots. And I like you keep it real. You're not just saying what you think someone wants you to say. You keep it real, as we just saw here during this interview. So keep it up, my man. I'm looking forward to seeing you out there. Safe travels. And also, welcome back. I'm looking forward to the fight April 25th, Lincoln, Nebraska, Glover Teixeira. Huge fight at 205. That's going to be a great one as well. So welcome back. I'm happy everything worked out with the hand, and I'm looking forward to working with you for the first time this weekend as well.
Yeah, I can't wait. Actually, I need to tell you something about your co-host, Chael.
Oh, yes. Please.
So he's a little worried about the three of us working together.
What?
Yeah, he's a little nervous.
Why?
He said that the lion and the bad guy sounded really, really good. Sounds a lot better than Ariel and the bad guy. So you got to watch that old bad guy Chael.
Typical Chael, stabbing me in the back. If you must know, Ari in Hebrew means lion. Ariel is lion of God. So, you know, you're just a lion. I'm a lion of God. I think that's what he was referring to.
That could be it. That's absolutely it.
Thank you, Anthony. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. I'll see you this week.
All right, there he is. Anthony Smith, Lionheart Smith. There's the lineup right over there. Friday weigh-in show, UFC Live pre-show. Then we've got the YouTube Twitter show. Weird, I don't see... Is a radio show there? Don't see it conspicuous by its absence. Maybe you didn't make the cut for that particular one, but there you go. Radio show 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern, by the way. Taking your calls, special guests and whatnot this Saturday. All right. TST, by the way, very upset about the lack of respect for the radio program.
Sorry, TST.
Okay. Alexander Volkanovski, last guest of the day. We save the champ for last. In case you forgot, a month and a half ago in Las Vegas, UFC 245, the Aussie did this.
Don't stop now, it's time. Don't run and hide.
I said I was going to do it. You know what I mean? A lot of people do say they're going to do it, but I did. Earned, not given, like I always said. We stuck to the game plan, got it done, and then now we got this.
And now we say hello once again for the first time as champion, the new reigning, defending UFC 145-pound men's champion, the one and only Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Look at this guy. I thought once he won the belt, he'd be too big for us. He'd be too big time. He'd be too much of a celebrity, but he's back in the flesh. Alex, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Mate, what an intro.
Oh, I mean,
what was that?
Well deserved, my man. Only for the champs do you get that kind of intro. What has life been like for you over the past month and a half or so? Has it been everything you thought it would be? Is it kind of normal now as champion? How would you describe the changes in your life since winning that fight?
Yeah, it's a weird one for me. Again, I just think I'm bred different to everyone else. It's just I come home and I'm daddy. I'm the regular bloke. I walk the streets. I forget I'm a UFC fighter, let alone a champion. But obviously, you know, you get noticed a lot more and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a lot more media obligations and things like that. But at the same time, I'm just me. You know what I mean? I'll always be me, which is I think is a good thing. But at the same time, you know, it's you know, watching videos like that, you know, really pumps me up. So it's unreal. It's a good feeling. And again, it was all worth it. You know, I always said I want to shoot through these ranks so I can get that title. And you know, now I've done it. Now it's time to defend. I let everyone chase me now, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's installed in the future. And
by the way, you're a champion, you're a great fighter, although you are covering the camera a little bit with your hand there, so you're not superhuman. Do you mind holding it with the with the other hand? I think that's good. I just don't want your hand to be covering your lovely face. Have you noticed? Do people treat you differently? Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, maybe a little bit. You know, it's again, it's just again, I'm just me. I'll talk to anyone just like how I would 10 years ago. But at the same time, I see people like when you talk about winning the belt or even showing them the belt, and you just see their reaction. They blow out more than I did. You know what I mean? So it's good to see. So obviously they understand how big it was. I know how big it was, but again, I'll always just me. I won't let it get to my head. And again, it's just holding that nice heavy shiny belt. It does feel good. But again, I didn't just do it for me. There's plenty of people I've done it for. Obviously my team, my family, then my country, and then even my the Illawarra where I live. So they're nothing but supportive, and it feels good.
Speaking of your country, and there's so much I want to talk to you about the fight and your hand and your future. But of course, Australia has been in everyone's thoughts after the wildfires and those scenes, just absolutely heartbreaking, and the animals, the casualties, and just all the destruction. And I'm wondering, first and foremost, how your family is and if this has affected them at all.
Yeah, no, we're right. Hasn't really affected us where we are. I don't think the fires could affect us too much where we are. But even just yesterday, you're looking outside and there's just smoke everywhere and stuff. So it just hasn't stopped. Like every time you're looking outside, there's just smoke. And, the fires are still going. I don't think it's as bad as it was, but it's still, we got hot weather. It's still really hot, and I guess it's always going to be dangerous for them fires as well. So we keep an eye on it. Obviously, it's upsetting. It was good to see the world really get behind it and support us. So that was unreal. So it's again, it's still going, but it hasn't really affected me or my family. So.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. How about the air quality? Is it noticeably different?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is. Yeah, again, it's real smoky outside. You're always breathing in the smoke, and you're getting a lot of people that were getting sick. I know a lot of people that were getting like throat infections and stuff like that. Whether it was from the fire, I don't know, but everyone was just getting a cough and losing their voice and stuff like that. But again, I don't know if that was the fires, but I think it probably was.
Okay, now how about your hand? How is it feeling?
Yeah, it's better. I'm in a smaller splint now, so that's pretty good. But it just I obviously had the broken bones. I had a couple of screws and surgery. Sorry, I covered the camera there again. But yeah, it's just now we didn't really realize when we first sort of looked at it and had the surgery that we'd done some ligament damage as well. So we don't know if that was previously to the fight or during the fight. We don't know. So we're hoping that tightens back up. And we'll see. So again, we're just gonna. I'll find out very soon whether that's starting to tighten up. If not, we'll probably have to get an MRI, and and then I don't know whether we're meant to get surgery again or what to do. I don't really know. So we'll just wait. Hopefully it tightens up. But in saying that, I still reckon mid-year's realistic. But again, we just never know.
And before we get to the comeback, do you recall at what point in the fight you broke your hand?
Man, watch back the tape. I had to watch back the tape. Like I remember throwing the punch. I remember throwing the punch and then feeling it. But again, I've got a game plan to do and all that, so I didn't really let it get to me. I remember throwing and being like, "Oh, that wasn't good," but I didn't worry too much about it. I was just thinking, if I've got to use my left hand, I'll use the left hand. If I've got to kick still, I'll kick. But from watching back the tape, I think it might have been of the fourth or the fifth round, you start to see me sort of use that jab a little bit, especially on the offense. So when I was attacking, you would notice that I would throw the jabs and the hooks a little bit more. But obviously, in the heat of the moment when Max wanted to come at me and, when I was sort of countering or, him coming at me, I'd throw the right hand, like just more instinct, again, so from watching back the tape, I think it was maybe the fourth or fifth round, but again, I can't remember. I just remember throwing the punch in the fight and feeling it, but I couldn't tell you when that was because again, I wasn't going to let that sort of run through my mind. I had a job to do, no excuses. I knew I could still get the job done, but I think it was later rounds.
How many times have you watched the fight?
I've watched it a couple of times. I've watched it a few times now. I had to watch it after the fight again. I was talking to a lot of people. A lot of people, were saying like, dominant win and all this sort of stuff. Again, while the fight was happening, I'm my hardest critic, as I always say. So I was watching the fight. I mean, as the fight was going, I will remember them little punches he's landing, even if they're not effective. I still, I'm still like, he landed one, and that's how I am. So I sort of remember the shots he's landing. So I thought it was maybe a little bit closer than what it was. Watching back the tape, nothing but respect to the champ, but man, I was really, let's say the former champ, but I was really surprised that like the judges even gave him a round. I know there was a lot of rounds that were closer than others, but watching back the tape and really going through them, even watching from both angles, even I was, keep my eye on him, watching the fight, and I was struggling to give him a round. It really was. If you did give him a round, I know he was the champ, so that'll be why you give it to him. But if the judges were going to give me every round, I'm sure a lot of people would probably agree with that more than disagree. I know a lot of people are going to disagree as well, but over talking with a lot of people, a lot of people thought it was 50-45, and that's from what I watched. That's what I thought. So, a lot of people are going to hate me saying that, but again, that wasn't a biased look. I literally go out there and I watch everything. I'm, watching each shot and stuff like that, and I thought I won that pretty convincingly. But again, he's a great champion. So obviously Dana keeps saying that that's what he wants. We'll see what happens. But again, I've got a hand to worry about at the moment, and again, I'm not scared of nobody. Anyone in that top 10 wants a piece, I know I'll get the job done. And if it has to be the rematch, I'll get the job done again anyway.
Considering how dominant you think you were in that fight, and the scorecards for the most part would reflect that, are you interested in the immediate rematch, or would you like to fight someone else?
Man, again, at the end of the day, I've always been a guy that I'll just fight whoever I have to. I'm not scared of no one, but at the same time, it needs to make sense. And I thought that, if the guys, if there was, obviously there's a few guys back there. You got like zombies a bit all trying to call for the fight. If they really wanted to fight me, I think they needed to probably fight again. You know what I mean? They get that win, and then I guarantee you everyone will be talking about them being the next in line 100%. But the fact that nothing's happening, you know what I mean? Like, there's no real clear number one. So, does Max deserve the order, the immediate rematch? I don't know. So, again, it's just, if anything, right now, there's no clear number one. So, does an immediate rematch make sense? Maybe that's why the UFC is looking into that. Whatever it is. Again, man, I don't care. I'll let
you're being very diplomatic.
Yeah, man, I'll let my management and my coaches make that decision. Again, I'm not scared of nobody. So, whoever it is, bring it on. I'm ready to take them out.
I see Korean Zombie. He's taking some shots. You saw that on Instagram, saying, "Are you scared?" All this stuff. You saw that?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I'm getting tagged and things like that. Yeah. Again, that's just gonna happen when you're the champ. They're gonna do what they can. But at the same time, again, I know I beat all these guys. Zombie. If he thinks he can do what he done to Frankie, do that to me, what he done to Frankie, he's dreaming. You come at me like that. That's too many openings for me. I'll put him to sleep. I really will. So he wants to come aggressively like that to me. I'll be sleeping him like a did. So again, I don't like to talk like that, but at the same time, you know what I mean? He wants to play the big boy. I'll be happy to put him in his place come fight time. So I know I can get that job done pretty easily. But again, I'm not a cocky type of person, but I'm confident I'll beat all of these guys. He's showed a lot of weaknesses that I know that I can beat him. When Max, I already beat him. So, you know what I mean? Whoever it is,
right?
Bring it on. I'm ready.
My understanding is it's looking like June for Australia. Are you hopeful that you'll be able to fight on that card? Is that the goal right now?
Yeah, 100%. I hate sitting on the sidelines. I'm trying to do whatever training I can. Obviously, I can't punch with this right hand. I can't really grapple. Or wrestle or anything like that because just the ligament damage right now is more of a problem, and I just can't afford stretching that anymore. Otherwise, it won't heal. But in saying that, I still think if I'm back in training in a few weeks or even a month, I still think June's a realistic time, and I want to fight. A pay-per-view event in Australia, that'd be unreal. So. That's definitely something that I want to do. 100%. I want to fight, and I'll do whatever I can to fight. But at the same time, I guess I've got to look after these damn injuries. But we'll see what happens.
Can you clear?
To me, I'll fight. I'll fight through an injury. You know what I
mean?
I
know.
That's just how I am.
But at this point, you have to be smart, and I get that. Can you clear something up for us? Because at the end of the year, there was this big debate about who's the coach of the year. In the end, I gave it to Eugene Behrman of City Kickboxing because of you, because of Israel, because of Dan Hooker, because of what everything. everyone involved in that team and with that team did in 2019. But the detractors will say Eugene doesn't really train Alexander. It's more Joe Lopez in Australia. Can you clear this up for us once and for all? How much time do you actually spend with City Kickboxing, and how much time do you spend with Joe and the team in Australia?
Yeah, well, I'm based out of Freestyle Fighting Gym with Joe Lopez. So he's my head coach. He has been from day one. We go together as well. A lot of times we spend time at City Kickboxing. Every camp we'll be there like probably two times in the camp. I'll do like 3 weeks at a time. But even when the other boys are fighting, I'm going over there to help the boys fight and stuff like that. So we're just an affiliated sort of gym. Like we obviously we're still a part of their team. So Eugene getting that Coach of the Year is still well deserved. Look what he's done. He's played a big part in my career as well, especially my last 4 or 5 fights. He and Brad Riddell, all the guys there at City Kickboxing. But again, I'm based out of Freestyle Fighter Gym in Australia. Wollongong, the Gong as we call it. That's where I'm based out of. That's where I'm at all year round. But I do spend a lot of time at City Kickboxing with the boys. So they're all my teammates. We're all still a part of the team. So people that are gonna knock Eugene for that's just rubbish. He's obviously played a big part. And look what he's done. Look at the numbers, especially for how big of a gym it is and where we are. You know what I mean? I think he was like 11-1 last year or something like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. And you're seeing the work that he's doing, even with his Easy, Dan, even Kai, Brad Riddell. All of them. Whoever's there, Shane, all of them. So he's played a big part in my career. And very well deserved what he got. But again, just to clear things up, I'm based out of Freestyle Fighting Gym.
Okay, thank you for doing that. Best byproduct of becoming champion? Was there a moment with your family, away from it all, when you got back home with your children? The best thing to happen as a result of this victory?
Man, just getting back home and seeing the family again. You're in this damn sport. You're running around, especially like me just talking about it. I'm over there in New Zealand. I'm over, Vegas fighting and stuff like that. So just coming back. I'm a family man, and I take pride in that. I literally do this for my family. This is a career path I've chose, and this is how I make that money. This is how I support them. So I need to win. Me getting this belt, obviously, you know what I mean? It means something. This really sets you up, for big things, and to really bring that back home, especially before Christmas. As I said, early Christmas present back home to the family. It meant a lot going back home and taking it to preschool. We went there and come back and seen them in preschool, I believe. I think that's when we first seen them when we got back. So we've got to bring the belt there at the preschool, and
wow,
just to see, it was cool. It was a good feeling because obviously the teachers and a lot of the other kids that were a little bit older knew what happened. So they were all like, going nuts. So it would have been really cool for the kids. The girls would absolutely love that and be like, daddy's very popular right now. Something's happened, so... Again, they sort of, Ariana sort of understands what's happening, but at the same time, she probably doesn't know the magnitude of what it is. But it was good, it's a really good feeling. Again, I'm a family man, I mean that's me. I got to go and punch faces in the canvas come fight time and do what I got to do. But at the end of the day, I take pride in coming home back to my family and being a family man. I'm a nice, respectful guy, but in the cage, I'm a UFC champion, and even in the gym, I've got to put some hands on people to get the job done, to make that money. So that's my thing. And again, it's I love this sport. I really do. I have a lot of fun in there, and now what a career path I've chose. I used to play rugby league. I was a concreter before then, but nothing compares to what I do now. I absolutely love it, and it's just a great feeling.
And now you're rolling around in pink stretched Hummers. So life is really good for the Volkanovskis. I mean, look at that. What a life.
That's what I do for the family, what I mean? Obviously the kids are gonna love a pink Hummer. I'll get them a pink Hummer.
Why not?
That's just how it is. Last I've done interviews in pink headphones. I'm laying in my missus' funny coloured blankets right now. That's just
yeah. That's the dad life. Now, can you clear something else up for us? Do you have aspirations of moving up to 155 and fighting Khabib?
Man, everyone keeps asking this question, and look, man, I'm just gonna talk about it. People are gonna take words from my mouth and just word it however they want, mate. But it does whatever, I'm fine with that. But look, man, you'd be silly not to take these opportunities. But I want to make it clear that I'm not out here chasing them. I'm not out here, trying to avoid them contenders in my division. People are gonna twist my words and say whatever they want, whatever. But I want to fight the best guys in my division. Show me who the best guy is. Show me who really deserves that shot. I'm going to take him out. I'm not going chasing these other fights, going there calling out Cejudo, going out there calling out other guys just to protect my featherweight belt. I'm here. I'll defend my featherweight belt. But if these opportunities do come to me and there's money involved, I'll be silly not to take them. Again, I'm a family man. I'm going to do that. So I will do that. But again, I'm not chasing it. Do I think I could be a tough fight for Khabib? Yeah, I actually do. Obviously he's a big, strong boy, and I got a lot of respect for his game. But again, when you're talking game plans and stuff like that, I'm very hard to hold down. I know it's a lot deeper than that, but I'm small. But these little small legs, they're hard to hold down. It's very easy for me to get up. But again, it goes a lot deeper than that. As you see, I look a lot further than just being able to stand up. But again, I think we could come up with a plan that will really make me a tough fight for him. But at the same time, I'm not chasing that. I've got a division to hold. And I said I was going to be a great champion, just like, Aldo and Max Holloway. And again, put the man that deserves it in front of me. I'll go out there and get the job done. And again, I'm not far away from being one of the greatest featherweights of all time. And I will be in these conversations of, multiple division champions and stuff like that. My name is going to get thrown around there for these fights. And when they happen, I'll be there and I'll probably take them. But, again, I'm a realist. So I probably will. Right now, I'm not chasing them.
Last thing, when the UFC, Dana White, when they talk about, what's next for you, they do talk about Max. Would you prefer if he fought someone else before fighting you? Would that be I know you're saying you'll fight whoever, but do you think that's the most fair thing?
Oh, man, look, fair. Again, straight after the fight, he was a great champion. He probably deserves a rematch. I thought the fight was a bit closer than what it was. But anyway, look, man, I've got a broken hand. The only thing is, I'm on the sidelines for a little bit. I just thought a lot of people could have capitalized on that. Look, that's not my job. My job, I'm not a matchmaker. But yourself that when I was in these sort of positions that they were in, I was going out there taking whatever opportunity I could to be next in line. That's why they had to give it to me. These people are going to whinge. If Max does get the rematch, Zombie's going to whinge. Oh, he's scared to fight me, blah, 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 whatever. Let him whinge and carry on. I told him, you want to go and take that opportunity, you go out there and take someone out, take a contender out. There's going to be no questions. You're going to be the man 100%. And I'm, again, I've got a broken hand. I'm on the sidelines at the moment. Now's the time to do it. If you really think you could beat everyone in the top 5, go out and do it, just like I did. Earn that spot, and, mate, no one's going to take it away from you. But at the same time, you just want to sit and wait. Don't come whinging to me when it doesn't get given to you. So, again, that's just how I look at it. That's how I've done it. Even when, I was straight after Brazil, I was in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
What was it? 6 weeks later or whatever weeks later it was, I was over there in Canada ready to fight someone. I wasn't properly prepared, I'll be honest, but I wasn't going to let someone else take that opportunity for me. That's just how I am. And, for people to come out there and, again, I don't even know what they're ranked, but they're not clear number 1, that's for sure. And if they're going to come whinging to me about not getting the shot and say I'm scared, I'm just going to laugh in their face and be like, hey, you earn your spot. See you when you're ready.
Well put, well said. And by the way, whinge, a great term. I've never heard that term before, so I appreciate you.
Oh, you haven't heard it? Is that an Aussie slang?
I guess so.
All right.
I guess so. I like it. Whinge is a great one. Alex, I always appreciate you coming on, especially now as champion. I wasn't sure if you'd wake up. You've always been great about waking up early, but now, satin sheets, you're living the life. No problems whatsoever. I appreciate it, my man. Congratulations on the victory once again. What a great moment. What a great scene for you and your family. And even afterwards, the respect that Max showed you and the respect that you've shown Max and everyone, it's just been great for the division and the sport. So I hope you get well soon. I wish the best to everyone in Australia. And I hope this ends very soon as well. And hopefully we'll get to see you in there sooner rather than later, too.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'll be in there 100%. Obviously, I want to fight. So stay tuned. I'll let you know what's happening. Hopefully we can do it in Australia. So, again, thanks for having me. And always a good chat, Ariel. You're a good man.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. There he is, the one and only Alexander the Great Volkanovski, the reigning defending UFC men's featherweight champion. Is Max Holloway next for him? We shall find out. Or is it going to be someone else? Is someone going to fight in between now and then? He does raise a great point about being active and taking those fights when maybe he shouldn't have or wasn't healthy. Remember we saw him in Edmonton? Raises a great point. So we hope that he returns sooner rather than later and gets well soon as well. All right. UFC 247 this Saturday. Prelim starts 6:15 p.m. 6:30. I see 6:15. Are you sure about that? Anyway, tomato. Just maybe be ready for 6:15 just in case it starts early. 6:30, according to Corporate Jake. 6:30 on ESPN Plus. You got 3 fights there. Then the action moves over to ESPN at 8 p.m. Eastern for 2 hours. Some interesting fights. Andrea Lee against Lauren Murphy. Antonio Arroyo against Trevor Giles. Miles Johns, undefeated prospect against Mario Batista. That's the ESPN prelims. And then the main card starts at 10 p.m. Eastern. Solid main card featuring the heavyweight debut of Ilir Latifi going up against Derek Lewis. Dan Ige, surging featherweight prospect, going up against Mirsad Bektik. How about Juan Adams, who I saw in Albuquerque as well, training out of Jackson Wink, going up against Justin Tafa. And Valentina Shevchenko defending her 125-pound title against Caitlin Chukagian. Always great to see Valentina in action. And of course, the big one, main event, Jon Jones, Dominick Reyes for the undisputed UFC light heavyweight title. Like I said, we've got a lot of coverage coming your way. Wednesday, we've got Ariel and the Bad Guy, another edition of this show, the Helwani Show podcast. Also, I'll be filling in for Will Kane on Wednesday with Jason Fitz. We'll be doing a 3-hour show, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, talking all kinds of sports. I need to learn some stuff about other sports. I heard the football championship just ended last night. Hopefully we won't talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about the NBA trade line. I don't know, but I'll be on the air on Wednesday 3 to 6, and then Thursday I'll be going to Houston Media Day. Friday morning official weigh-ins, and then the pre-show and the radio show and all that stuff and more. So we've got a lot to get to over the next few days, and I'm looking forward to it. For now, though, we shall say goodbye. Thank you very much, all. I guess what a fun show this was. Very uplifting, deep show, enlightening show. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you very much to Eliot Marshall. Great stuff from him. Thank you very much, Sergio Pettis. Congratulations to him on the big win. How about Colby Covington? Thank you very much to him for coming on. Thank you very much to Jon Jones and his team for sitting down with us on Friday in the ABQ. Thank you very much to Dominic Reyes. Good luck to him on Saturday. Thank you very much to Anthony Smith. I'll see you out there in Houston. And thank you very much and congratulations again to Alexander Volkanovski. Back next week, same time and place. Until then, I say peace. I'm out of here.
I don't remember Ariel ever going on the mic and saying, hey guys, I got a broken jaw. How did my corner audio get released in the 3rd round?
Why do you feel like you're not just going to win, but you're going to knock him out?
Just feel it, man. It's one of those things you can't really explain. Had many visions of this fight. I'm looking down on him. He's on his back.
And when I cover up the back of my head, he calls the fight. And I stand right up and I protest. I'm like, I'm winning the whole entire fight. There's less than a minute left in the fight. If I was Marty Fake Newsman, I would not accept a win like that, Ariel. I would not. I would run it back immediately.
It actually makes me emotional to watch it. This is a great scene to have, right?
And it's awesome to have Anthony in my life, man. He's taught me so much. He's the reason why I got into the sport.
You didn't hear the story?
No.
I almost cut my finger off.
What?
Yeah, we were going to amputate my pointer finger, and there would still technically be a knuckle there so I could still punch.
What?
So,
Street Judas, journeyman George Masvidal, he hit lightning in a bottle, Ariel, and he knows he needs to capitalize off that lightning in a bottle. He's all hype.
I'm not scared of nobody. Anyone in that top 10 wants a piece, I know I'll get the job done. And if it has to be the rematch, I'll get the job done again anyway.
In Las Vegas, you and Dominic, it was a pretty good face-off, and you went away and then you went back and you said something to him and you kept saying something to him. What did you say to him?
I just told him that he had really bad breath.
He knows if he doesn't respect me, he 100% would be sleeping.
And you,
right? But look at that. We got a fist now.
Look at you.
Time to swing them things.
And I said, well, you started with the insults, and I said, you messed with the wrong one. And I pointed at him, I said, I'm going to get you.
My hand's going to be raised, period. Like, I don't care how I do it.
You know, I'm fighting for a world championship, or, you know, I might not ever fight again. We'll just have to see.